I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-looking for another load. Well, it's a family tradition, any Rocky Mountain day. Our fathers before us showed us the way. We work for asphalt cowboys and concrete kings, but that's never been a problem, 'cause we got diesel in our veins. We've got diesel in our veins. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny...
Good morning, JFW family. Welcome back to the Channel 23 podcast. The purpose of this podcast is to reach out and touch the fleet, to engage and inform everyone with all things JFW. In the studio this morning, we got Jim White and Brother Dave White. Good morning, man.
Hi, everybody.
Morning, everybody.
Super Dave is out on vacation. What country did he go to? Iceland or something?
All of them.
All of them? He went to all of them.
It's a European.
Yeah.
Heavy on the peeing. Who knows? No, river cruise.
So if you have a few minutes and you do listen to the podcast, Super Dave, good morning.
Yes.
Yes.
Hopefully you're too busy.
Or good day to you, my friend.
Yes. Yep.
Top of the day your way, Super Dave.
There you go.
Yep.
Good call, Jam.
Super Dave, if you are listening, or if anybody else out there is listening and you want to join us for the Pledge of Allegiance, we would be honored. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Father God, we thank you for the opportunity to go out and do some trucking today. We pray for the safety of our fleet, all of their families, and all the other families and individuals we come across on the road today. We pray for patience and in making the good, safe decisions. We pray to be accident-free and that we all make it back to the comforts of our homes this evening. We pray for healing and 100% recovery for all of our family members that are ill. No matter what, we trust you, God. It's in Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
That is just a great prayer.
I like
It covers so many things. It's awesome.
It really does.
Yeah, one of the, I was just saying, one of the classes I've just been attending for some different stuff, and Jam, this is kind of on your side of the road there, but
it's on my side of the kingdom.
Yeah, they were just talking because they don't want it. They want everybody to be welcome at these meetings.
Sure.
And it's spiritually based,
right?
No matter what, it's just
faith based.
Any kind of spiritual base. You know what I mean? And you're just like, and yet so many people in the meetings talk about God. And it's just supposed to be spiritually based.
Right.
So yeah, it's just interesting to what he means to people, I guess, and what a prayer like this means, Dave. Like you're right. It's special and you can get a lot out of it. Yeah.
There's a lot of, obviously everybody believes something different, but in my belief, there's a lot of power in prayer. Mm-hmm. And people will be like, what do you pray for? Like, doesn't God know what you want? Yeah, but God's our Father, and just like we know what our kids want, we still like to hear from them and for them to talk to us and tell them what they need.
And I for myself too, and when I look at it, whether it's that few minutes of, it could be self-meditation and you don't even know it, Jim,
right? That
you're reflecting on, whatever your conversation is with God, or about your family or your kids or whatever. It's a moment of silence, I guess, and we're one-on-one either with yourself or with God.
Yeah. And if you're wondering how to pray, just have a conversation. It doesn't need to sound fancy. You don't need to use big spiritual, led words. You could just have a conversation with God, and, that could be your prayer. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
By the way, anything here on today's podcast is not the opinion of JFW's. It's just our expressed opinion.
So please don't sue us.
Yeah.
Don't take anything we say to heart.
Yeah.
Don't, if you're offended, come have a conversation.
JFW does not pay us to broadcast this.
Yeah, right.
They do not endorse this.
Too funny.
I hear a lot of different disclaimers on some of the podcasts I listen to, and some of them are pretty in depth, especially when it comes to like any podcast I listen to do with medical stuff. They're always like, follow your local protocol. Like, these are just our opinions. Truth mixed with facts.
Yeah.
Opinions mixed with facts and stuff like that.
So much CYA, isn't there, out there? Then when it's just an opinion, fact check it.
Yep.
Same old thing. You gotta be an advocate for yourself.
Yep.
Find out.
So episode 134 last week, it had 325 downloads, which has been pretty steady. It's one more than the week before. We have 74.3 thousand total downloads. The followers were skewed today. There was one of the platforms was pulling up without the information on anything, so I couldn't get that to be accurate. So,
that's a bummer.
Yep.
Well, since it's just our expressed opinions, give us an opinion. What?
How many followers? 583.
Love it.
I'm glad that we had a chance to talk about prayer and God. I do have a question for you guys. Do you know how to make holy water?
Man, I've heard this before, and I'm like racking my brain right now. I've heard this. Oh, no, how?
You boil the hell out of it.
That's what it is.
Boil the hell out of it. Yeah, that's a good one.
Funny.
Did you guys hear that the world's champion tongue twister just got arrested?
Nope.
I hear they're going to give him a tough sentence.
Man, I can follow that up with, did you guys know lions can't golf?
No, I don't think I've heard this one.
No.
Yeah, but Tiger Woods can.
Oh, man. That's funny.
Oh.
Pretty good.
Does
he even still golf, or is he over the hill
No,
yet?
he's still doing it.
Yeah. He thinks he can. I just seen an article. He thinks he can be competitive with all the stuff that he's done to recover, Jim.
Is he 40 years old now?
Oh, no, he's
He's younger?
No, he's older than that.
Oh, really?
I think he's
gonna be
late
in his
40s or
50s.
50s.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd have to look that up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's our age?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
He's an
Yeah,
old
our
man.
age, yeah.
Poor guy. Everything must hurt.
Oh, too funny.
No kidding.
I mean, if it wasn't for Jim's, I read the Tiger Woods one, and I'm like, I don't know how to segue that in. You know what I mean? You just left me with the perfect segue, because I actually printed a sheet here of, I was going to try something. There's 10 question jokes.
Okay.
Right? They're somewhat kind of riddles, but not necessarily a riddle. But
Sounds like we're going to try them
Call
out.
them a question jokes. We're going to try them right now.
Let's
right?
do it.
So, number one, what are 2 things you can never eat for breakfast?
Lunch and dinner.
Good job, Jim. So I'm just going to keep looking at you, Jim. What is always coming but never arrives?
Oh, never mind. Always coming, but never arrives.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Oh, I was about to say tomorrow.
I bet you have this train of thought on these jokes. I just, I know your composure there. What gets wetter the more it dries?
Towel.
Yep, exactly. What can be broken but never held?
Can be broken, but never held.
I've heard this one.
A promise. What word is spelled incorrectly in every single dictionary?
Incorrectly.
Exactly. What is it that lives if it's fed and dies if you give it a drink? You've done this one, Jim.
Man, my memory is so good.
I'll ask it again. What is it that lives if it's fed and dies if you give it a drink?
Lies.
Fire.
Fire. Dang it.
What never asks a question but gets answered all the time? Your cell phone. What word would you describe a man who does not have all his fingers on one hand?
Scooby.
I thought that too. Normal, because usually people have half their fingers on one hand and the other half on the other. If they had all their fingers on one hand, they'd be unusual.
That makes sense.
Second to last one. What goes up but never comes down?
What goes up never comes down. I know this one. Can't think of it.
Your age. Then the last one. What can one catch that is not thrown? This goes around our office.
Cold.
Yep.
Those are good. I like those. Got my brain working a little this morning.
Yeah, those are your line of questioning, Jam.
I mean, some of them I just heard and remembered.
Yeah.
The other ones I heard and didn't.
Well, I got one just like that I wasn't going to read, but what does a tick and the Eiffel Tower have in common?
Oh, I've seen that one, Jim. What does a tick in the Eiffel Tower have?
I got it.
Do you remember what it was? Because I thought we've done it.
Somebody just told it to me yesterday. That's the only reason I know.
Gotcha.
I think it was Mike Cisneros. Parasites.
Yep, they're both parasites.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to throw one more just because we're doing them all. Rick Gray sent me this. Showtime. How do you make an egg roll?
Push it.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
That's funny. The way you pronunciated that, it gave it away.
Did it?
You didn't say, how do you make an egg roll? You said, how do you make an egg roll? Oh, that's funny. All right, new employees. Welcome to the fleet. Nikki Gomez, Jose Ramirez, Gordon and Tiamoa, and Roderick Montgomery. I got to tell you, so I got to know Roderick fairly well. Now that I'm doing interviews while Dave is gone, it's like, wow, I actually get to meet these people before they work here.
Nice.
You know, which is nice. And had brief interactions with Gordon and Jose, but yeah, the next few people that come on board, it's like I've developed a little bit of a relationship with, and it's kind of nice instead of being like, who's that guy?
Sure, yeah.
Who's that girl?
Because we do that all the time, right?
Yeah.
Jam? I'm like, who is that?
And I used to always know. And now I'm all like, your guess is as good as mine. Not for the next 2 weeks, though. I'll know who everybody is.
Right, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Welcome, Nikki, Jose, Gordon, Roderick.
Yeah. Welcome aboard.
Celebrations, anniversaries. Jesus Varela, 3 years on Friday.
AKA Chewy.
Chewy, yep. Good job, Jesus.
Yeah.
Chewy. Yeah.
Silent warrior there, man.
Yeah, he's great. I know he's got his daughter in town this week. And
Yeah.
he's just a trusted teammate. We know he's going to take good care of his kid in the truck. And,
Right?
Yeah.
you know, he just does an outstanding job every
Yep.
day.
What's Chewy's other name, though? We've been calling
Varela. His last name.
Varela, is
Yeah.
that what it was?
Yeah.
Because he came in the other day when me and Holly were leaving, and he waved, and Holly's like, "What's that guy's name?" I'm like, "Well, Chewy's one of them." And
Jesus. Yeah.
Jesus. But I said, I swear there's another one. Somebody's
It's
been
just his
calling
last
him.
name. Yeah.
Yeah.
Birthdays. Andrew Berger and Jack Domenico share a birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday, Andrew and Jack.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, guys.
And then Amy Power has a birthday this Saturday.
Happy
AKA
birthday, Amy.
Graff.
Hope you're listening.
Is Graff her maiden name and Powers a married name, or do I get that backwards? Did I put the wrong name down?
Graff
No,
is her maiden.
Name, yeah.
Oh, okay.
You have it right.
You have it right.
Yep,
Got it.
Yep, you exactly have it right.
I just,
Old school, know her.
Right. I could almost go, who's Amy Power? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
you have to
for me, it's
think
Graff,
about it
you know what I
quickly,
mean?
right?
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
I had a pretty funny experience with Amy, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. We had that problem with the loader that we were moving for Green One. I called her, and she's like, oh, wow, the voice from the podcast. That was pretty funny. So it was nice to meet you, Amy, and happy birthday. Family birthday celebration. Steve Big Country Jackson's significant other, Jackie Riley, and Dustin Curry's wife, Haley, they shared a birthday this past Saturday.
Oh, nice. Happy birthday, ladies.
Birthday.
Yep. And then Jonathan McKee's daughter, Brinley, and Devon Navarro's son, Adavion, share a birthday today.
Happy
Happy
birthday.
yeah.
Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, Devon.
That's how it looks, Jim.
Yeah.
So hopefully,
Yeah.
I think you did a great job.
Thanks, man. As long as I got one vote of confidence. So,
You didn't do a Key and Peele
no.
skit.
Hey, Ron.
D nice.
Aaron? Aaron?
That's a great skit. I still love looking at that.
Right? Who thinks that stuff up, man?
Yeah.
Well,
Those
yeah.
two are.
Oh, my gosh.
Right?
Yeah.
That's funny. Shout outs. My wife Ace, she wants to give a shout out to 0091 Nicole for Cadillacing down the road and being cool on the stool. So I ad-libbed that and kind of made it sound like we would say it. But, you know, my wife called me, hey, I don't know who was in 0091, but that person's doing a great job and letting traffic merge and man, I was so happy to call Nicole to tell her that, because we've had other conversations. You know,
Yeah.
there was a couple little things,
Isn't that
nothing
great?
crazy. You know, and I think when we call, people expect the worst sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
To be like, hey, my wife just spotted you doing a great job.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I pulled up the video, and she was getting on Vasquez here. And you know how, well, Nikki was in the right lane over here. And you know how tricky it gets getting on from Vasquez and people.
Yes.
Nikki was just plenty of space, letting people in, just Cadillacing looked great. So great
That is
job.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, shout out to Ace, and always, it's just proof that all our family members are out there.
Exactly.
You just never know.
Right.
Just never know. Yep. Shout out to Manny Velasquez, that is. Thanks for coming by on Monday. It was so great seeing you and your family. You guys are welcome to stop by anytime. I happen to be a little bit buried in that moment that you were here, so I hope you don't think I was being rude, but I had a lot to do. But it was so good to see you guys, and please keep on stopping by.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was good to
absolutely.
see you, Manny. I think you look great, buddy.
It was. I had the shout out in here to Manny too. It was good to see him. And it's funny, Jam, sometimes when you're buried and stuff, the guys from Kenworth stop by, and Brian Pasco and Rick Bowen from MHC, and Brian is Kenworth though, right?
Yes.
He's not
Yes.
MHC. He is Kenworth.
Correct.
And then the gentleman that's going to give the class today about the
emissions updates.
the emissions
Yeah, Sean, I didn't catch his last name.
Yeah, I didn't get it, but I was on the state's website, Jam, and I needed a mileage off one of the trucks. But you know how some website, they just sign you out, and you got to start all over again. And I come downstairs, and they were there, and I'm like, hi, and I'm like, I need this mileage. I got to
Right.
get back upstairs because I don't want to start over again.
Right.
Right.
And then they have, all the stuff the way it is now. Send you a password, log back in, and is your stuff saved? And I'm just like, I got to go.
You know that whole I just ran into that on our health insurance yesterday, Jim, because I was on there having to work through some stuff after Sam's shoulder surgery, and I'm all good with logging back in. Right, here's my sign on name, here's my password, and you should be able to go in, and then they have to send you a damn password, the
Verification.
and I'm like, you just verified this like 8 minutes ago.
Right.
And I got logged out because I got busy doing something. And I mean, when you have to do that like 3 times or 4 times in a day, it infuriates me. Like the password and the your sign on name isn't enough. Well,
Some of those,
Go ahead, Jim.
some of those you're able to turn off the 2-step verification.
yes,
Maybe not all of them.
yeah,
But I broke down and I just put, I use Norton Password Manager, and if you ask me what my password was to some, I'd be like, I have no idea what it is, because it is like 20 digits and it's got a bunch of letters that make no sense and
Right.
special characters. And,
Sure.
I know one password, and that's to get into my Norton Password Manager, and that's it. So it's like all those things, as long as that's turned on.
Yeah.
But sometimes Norton Password Manager will kick you out if you're not active in it.
Gotcha.
So then I'll go to sign in. I'm like, gotta go Norton first. You know what I mean? My wife hates it. She just hates it. And then, like, if she's trying to sign into one of my things, right, and did get in, well, then it sends me the 4-digit verification. Like, it makes her absolutely nuts.
Yes.
That's the way it is with our bank, with the credit union. I switched it, and then they did an update, and it went back, but it all goes to Holly, just like you're saying.
Right.
So I try to get into the bank account, and then I got to call Holly, or I try it and I send it, and then you can't get a hold of Holly, and you're like, well, okay, I just won't do it now.
Yeah.
And then back to the other thing, Dave, I've noticed a lot of them, and they just don't work at least on our stuff. I don't know what it is, where you check the box to have it remember this desktop or this browser, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
And then like you were just saying, Jam, you can shut that off. I've just made sure that there's not the 3-step verification where you can even make it deeper. And I'm like, no, I'm good with the text. Don't go any farther if you want it.
So those long 20-digit passwords I'm talking about, it tells you how long it would take for somebody to crack that password. So like, let's say I had one that said bacon. It would say like 3 hours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? These passwords, it says longer than eternity.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Longer than eternity. So.
Unless they're sitting next to you on your Wi-Fi when you log in, and then they're just on it.
I mean, if somebody wants my stuff, they're going to get it.
I know it.
But
Yeah, you're not going to stop them, right?
hopefully they have a more lucrative target. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, because I just talked to David Wright, our CPA, about that the other day, Jim, because we were talking, I don't know how it came up, but, because we were with Eric from Flood and Peterson.
Easy.
Yeah, Eric Easy and he just sent us an email, Dave, I need to answer, but it's about cybersecurity.
Yeah.
And I mentioned it to David that Eric's brought that up, and it's probably something we really need to look at. And he's like, yeah, he said, I think it's just going to become more and more prevalent. But David also said that, like our stuff, we're not dealing with huge amounts of social security numbers, credit cards, all that kind of stuff. And David said he's just, business IDs and passwords and all that kind of stuff. And he's really concerned about it. And, maybe having to carry some kind of insurance if there is a breach, and that he's covered. And, isn't that something that what we all have to protect ourselves again?
It's all theft, whether it's somebody stealing something off your car in your driveway or stealing your information electronically or.
Well, it's kind of ironic. We're sitting here complaining about having to do those passwords.
And that's what it is security,
and it's to
right?
protect us. And where we're talking about, maybe having to buy insurance because it's getting so prevalent to steal that stuff now.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It's, crazy world we live in.
Absolutely.
Crazy. Yeah.
Joanne wants to give a shout out to Kathy for being a rock star last week while Amber was out on her well-deserved vacation. Kathy is a definite asset to our team, very detail-orientated, a team player, and stays till the work is done so that I can meet my payroll deadlines. I do appreciate you, Miss Kathy.
Good job, Kathy.
Or it says
awesome.
Mrs.
Yeah, great job, Kathy. I don't know how she gets any work done, though, you guys, as much as she talks. I mean, she's such a chatterbox. That just doesn't seem right of her. So I'm just joking, Kathy. Thanks for being a rock star. Good stuff right there.
That's funny.
Yeah.
JR wants to give a shout out to Rich Trujillo. He was up at the pit yesterday and helped the new driver get unstuck and hook him up to the loader properly. We'll get into that here a little further.
Sounded scary, Jim.
In the safety topics, yeah. So, and then Dustin Courier wants to give a shout out to Gilly for helping him change a mud flap.
Nice. Thanks, Gilly.
A lot of good stuff going on.
I got a shout out in here. It's kind of off the subject. I don't know if he'll listen or not, but Troy Hill that we've had on the podcast before, he started his first podcast. They recorded it a week and a half ago. And it's called Core Essentials, like he said it was going to be. Mm-hmm. It's on Podbean. It's on Apple, iTunes, yada, yada, yada. Anywhere you can hear ours, you can hear his. And I truly suggest everyone to sign up for that, to follow that. He's going to try doing weekly updates on everything that, this is probably going to be some of you guys' least favorite things, but most important are updates on what the legislators are doing here in Colorado every week. What bills are coming up, what bills passed. Polis still has some bills that passed that he can sign in or veto for the year. They're not complete, not done yet. And he discusses all that. And his first guest on that he had last week was Greer Bailey. You've probably heard me mention that name before. He's the president of the Colorado-Wyoming Petroleum Marketers Association. And he's a lobbyist for them. Wields a lot of power down there as far as helping kill bills or navigate through bills that our crazies are trying to get pushed through that do nothing but raise our cost of living. So anyway, yeah, it's important stuff. I know it's probably the last thing you want to listen to, but oh my God, is it important, you guys and gals.
How was it?
Jam, I haven't listened to it. I have every excuse in the world, and honestly, I should have turned it on last night while I was working at the house, and I didn't.
Gotcha.
So yeah,
I'll give it a listen.
Yeah.
I did hear from Troy last week. He had some questions on Audacity, so I knew it was about to happen.
Yep. Yeah. I saw his setup in the basement, and it's he did a good job. Nice desk setup. Nice. He stepped up, did the nice mics like you suggested, and he's in it to win it, man. He'll prevail. I hope somehow we can get his word out, just like so many other people I try and follow that are just educating us in why are we letting our people do this to us? Why are we letting our leaders just continue to screw us to death?
I'll throw a link to Troy's podcast in our show notes.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to get, I don't know. I'll do two things here before we get too far. So I want to give a shout out to SD, Super Dave.
Yeah.
And my shout out is, and we do the podcast together, and he's been here for so many years, but through everything, and he was nervous about going on vacation.
Oh my gosh.
Right, Jim? I mean, the planning. I know you teased him a little bit. Dave teased him. We joked with him, and he was just playing. He was honest with all three of us, because we're around him so much, but just how nervous he was. He was afraid he was going to forget this, forget that. And my shout out to him is he took so much time, and it looks like, or he did. I'm just going to say he did. He set every one of us up for success.
Absolutely.
The High Road Hauling is here.
Yes.
He lined up Mike so that the CBs could be put in the super tandems.
Yep.
Scooby's doing that. He worked on the wash bay.
The interview directions and instructions and procedures and all of that.
Right? Was he not a rock star?
Yeah.
I don't think, we all sit here, whoops, smack the mic here. We all sit here and tell each other thank you and stuff like that, but I just don't remember lately giving him a shout out. And it's nice that a guy goes on vacation and leaves us set up for success.
Yeah, what a great thing. Absolutely, Jim. Yeah. And he was so excited to go. It was funny because
oh my gosh,
when obviously he didn't leave till Friday, but I was leaving Wednesday afternoon, and we actually had to peel out of here early last Wednesday. And anyway, I was like, Dave, I'm not going to see you. Have a great trip. And, he was all packed up for the night. He had his lunchbox on one arm, his thermos, his coffee cup. He's always got arms full, in his backpack. And man, he made a point to set everything down, and he reached out to shake my hand. And I was like, brothers don't shake, brothers hug. We actually gave each other a big hug. It was hilarious in the office, and it was heartfelt. That was what was cool about it. It wasn't just two awkward hugs. We hugged each other. It sounds weird, but it felt good, man. I hope you and Jackie have an amazing trip, Dave.
He did the same thing to me, Dave.
Yeah.
He come up and told me the same story. He says, I gave Brother Dave a hug, so we got a hug.
That's awesome.
I'm like awesome. Perfect, Dave.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, and he was calling it a vacation of a lifetime, but, river cruise and the countries and all that, it is a lifetime stuff. And he's had a lot of setbacks in the last few years that he's triumphed through.
Yes. Yeah.
Kicked its ass. So it's
yeah. And I mean, knowing what a history buff he is, and information, and
he'll be on overload.
And the history there where he's going, on that cruise is just going to be, I can't wait to hear. I bet he has stories upon stories upon stories of what he'll see.
The thing about his nervousness, he just wants everything to go smoothly.
That's it.
And be right.
Right.
I mean, he just cares.
He's passionate about it. Yep. Yeah. And my last shout out, and I don't even know if we can, I'm sure if we ask, Brother Dave, you know what I'm talking about here. But I've never seen it. So I want to give a shout out to Kim, and she works at the Adams County licensing division over here, and she's one of the people in the office there. There's
one of the clerks.
Yeah, one of the clerks. There's two or three. I'm going to say ladies because that's usually who works in there, but that are fantastic. They help us licensing the trucks, and she is super friendly. And the reason I'm giving her a shout out is because she asked. We told her we do a podcast, so then she asked about it, and I think she was going to listen. Really? So I wanted her to hear that we're giving her a shout out and to thank her for all the hard work. Nice. It's because people go in there and you can't really find all the rules, right. and then even if you look them up on the website, you don't understand them. I mean, here you need a DR 2130.
Oh, I got that in my back pocket.
Right? And then you look
well, of course you do.
Right? And then you look up the form and you're like, what's CWT?
Yeah.
I don't know what CWT is. Right. And then, they're asking for the original market value of your vehicle. It was $2.
Expensive.
Expensive, yeah. So anyway, people are usually upset because they just don't know, and they have to try to go through the rules and explain to them what's going on. And to me, it's a frustrating place to work.
I mean,
well, I don't think there's. Go ahead, Jim.
It just sounds like going to the DMV to me. Like anytime I go, it's like let me triple check to make sure I got every freaking thing they could possibly ask me for, because you know the deal. You don't got it, you don't get help.
You don't get
Exactly.
Except you're telling me you don't even know what you need.
Yeah, so I mean, finally, Jam, I got a pretty good, handle on it. But I told Dave yesterday, I feel like I'm missing something. How many times did I tell you that?
Were you missing something?
No.
You know the most ironic thing we need there, Jim? And this part, it's mind-boggling to me. You know where I'm going.
I do.
Right?
I do.
We have to prove that we work for JFW and that we're allowed to be a purchasing agent. So we actually have to write our own letter. We sign it and say we're allowed to purchase the plates for JFW.
Oh, wow.
And you have to show them your ID.
Yeah.
And I always think, okay, what am I missing? What is the purpose of that, right? You know, because you think, when I hear other rules, I think, okay, well, someone did something stupid, and that makes sense why this rule exists, right? You know what I mean? Usually it's something along the bad lines.
Right.
I'm trying to think through this, like, well, would someone ever show up and buy our license plates?
Thank you.
Right? Yeah. Right. What's the scam in that? I'm confused.
I mean, we just did title work yesterday, and it was $14,000.
Yes.
So if anybody would like to show up and pay that, thank you.
Yep. 3 trailers, 2 tractors, $14,000. We love coming here. Thank you, Colorado.
You can imitate us all you want.
Yeah. Yes. Please, someone go over there and pretend you're Jim and Dave White and pay for our shit.
That's funny. I was really nervous going to take my NREMT exam. That's the National Registry Test. Mm-hmm. You have to have, they tell you what to bring. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh my gosh, like, okay, you can bring a driver's license, but your second form of ID has to be exact as your driver's license. And a lot of times the second form is a credit card.
Yeah.
It's not exact. My middle name's not on it, right? So then I, little research. Oh, I could bring my social security card. Great. But then you get there and it's like you're walking into a prison. You cannot bring anything into that room with you. And they rattle off the rules so quick because they say it 100 times a day. Do you understand? Yep. Okay. Here's your locker key. Good. I put everything in the locker. She looks at me. She's like, take your watch off. Take your hat off. Did you read the rules? I'm like, yes. It's just so funny. You just gotta, be prepared.
Yeah. I had to call I talked to the state a lot yesterday in different divisions, actually, but called the emissions office, and it was my error on the operating the website, and had to leave a message. And it says if you're not, you leave a message, but if you didn't get to talk to somebody, call back again. Like somebody is really supposed to answer the phone. But I still got a message, so I leave a message and I'm like, I really need to talk to somebody. So I call back again. Somebody did answer the phone, but it was like calling I don't know, like if you'd have to call the morgue and ask if your loved one was there. No emotion, no nothing, no how you doing, anything. And then the gentleman that I left a message for, he did call back, and I've met him through the years, but I was like, yeah, it's just my screw up. Thanks for calling me back. My fault. And he laughed like, oh my God, somebody, owned it. It was that kind of laugh. Like, oh, great. Thank you. Yeah. And okay, glad you got it fixed,
Right.
But there's still no instructions for most of that stuff with the state. If you don't know how to operate the website, you're done.
Right.
You're just, crazy. Love the convenience of being able to do stuff online, but man, is it complicated.
Can be.
COVID did make some of that way better, though.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To take those trips out and having to go places and stuff like that. And, I hate to admit it, a Zoom meeting, super convenient. Mm-hmm. When you don't have to travel across town and you lose all that time there and all the time back and the time for the meeting. And you know what I mean? Some of that stuff, I'm pros and cons on that because I'm face to face. I think you get way more information at a water cooler discussion.
I like the face-to-face.
I do too, Jam, but I mean, there are those meetings that are, like we're trying to look at this little fuel program and we haven't ran the testing on it yet. And the one person here is here in Colorado, but the other person is out of state, and it's
Zoom it up.
We Zoom in 5 minutes and, have a little chat, and you do kind of get a little freer once you get used to it.
Yeah.
Right?
You grow used to it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I don't like is a Zoom meeting with one other person, that has his face blacked out.
Oh, yeah.
That could just be a phone call. I didn't need to get it on the computer. You could have called me. I could have been driving.
Right. If you're going to block your face out, yeah.
Yeah. And if it's just one person,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, like, let's have a group conference call or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny, you guys, you get even that the Zoom comes up, and I didn't have a lot of time, but I looked pretty hard for it. But I was on a Zoom meeting last night with a group, and somehow the Zoom camera would go to each person, not the people on the Zoom, but the people that could attend live. It would go to each one of their faces.
Huh.
The camera would in the group, so you knew that there was a group of people there.
Oh, interesting.
And I'm like,
Was it on your phone or on your computer?
So I was live in the group, like sitting there.
I see.
And the screen was up on the wall,
I
like
got
the
you.
big TV,
Gotcha.
showing all the people on Zoom.
Yeah.
It had, Kathy and Bob and everything.
Yeah.
And then, how it has your picture up in the corner usually. It was going and picking every one of us out of the group.
Oh, that's interesting.
And showing our face. And
Usually it only does that when they're speaking or when they make noise. So I wonder if
But-
they were
But you were live in a room with other people.
Yeah, Dave, you're not following me. It was the group that was there.
One
Not
camera.
the people on Zoom.
Oh,
people-
shit. Oh, no, I wasn't following. It was putting the camera on you.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
It was like,
then
go to
you.
me, go to
Yeah,
Holly,
right?
go to
Yeah.
it would go.
No,
and I'm
I wasn't following you.
I'm
Where's
looking
the camera?
Yeah, and I was to another Zoom on it, and I seen the camera, and it was like a bazooka, but it would pick up this whole room and show
So
it.
you're telling me it wasn't a drone flying around?
No, but it was a little weird. I was more
bet.
concentrated on the weirdness.
Yeah, that is bizarre.
Of the camera.
You're right. I wasn't following you at all. I didn't get that at all.
It's hard to explain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys know that this is the Mechanic and Wash Bay Appreciation Week?
Yes.
Absolutely.
I see that on the list.
This is from Joanne. We appreciate all of you and would not be where we are without you. You all keep the trucks running and looking their best. We will have lunch for the day crew and dinner for the night crew.
Nice.
We will also be doing some raffles. There will be a group photo, so we need everyone in the main shop at 3:30 p.m. I might grab me a little wash brush and wash your truck and eat some.
And have a piece of pizza.
No, all kidding aside, though, all the interviews that I've been doing have all mentioned how great the trucks look.
Oh, man. It is the common theme, isn't it?
And then we walk into the shop, and we got that brand new KW being outfitted.
Right.
And then, we got a trailer in there Sergio's working on, and everybody's just like, wow, you guys got a nice organized operation
Yeah.
here. So great job, everybody.
Yeah, amazing people. And I want to mention, and I know I've heard it playing once in a while out in the shop, and I just really hope that the mechanics listen to the podcast. And I know we talked to the Wash Bay a few weeks ago, and you asked, Dave, and nobody listens to the podcast.
Not one person.
And you told them, do you know how many times we thank you guys?
Right.
We can't see, the whole podcast is we can't see everybody.
Right.
We don't know everybody. But on this podcast, we mention everybody.
Yes.
We don't get recognition. Actually, you do.
Right, Jim? Exactly.
You only come to me when there's a problem. Well, we tell everyone how great you are. We only come to you when there's a problem.
Yeah. 2 to 3 hours a week.
I mean,
we
Jim,
do that.
Yeah, Jim, I can't think of a greater accolade other than, you got to meet Barbara Idness, George
Right.
Idness's wife, who owns all the Transwest dealerships in the country, right? They own them in Canada. They have them here. Just built the largest one that is my understanding up in Minnesota that, like, it makes the one in Brighton look like a little pea stand, is my understanding.
On a hill, right, Dave? They level the hill.
They moved the hill.
Yeah,
they took the hill out and put the dealership in, is my understanding.
But what I got from it is there was a large hill.
Yes.
They moved the hill.
Yes.
The dealership is now on the old hill that
Yes.
looks amazing,
Yes.
is what I'm trying to get at.
I mean, it's my understanding. It's
Yeah.
like unbelievable,
Yeah.
right?
And she is, both of them, George and Barb,
They're amazing people.
down to earth.
Amazing
talk to-
people.
I don't care who you are. They want you to show up and work.
Yes.
That's what they're after, because
Yes.
you know what? They show up and work today.
Yes.
No matter
Yes.
no matter what kind
And-
of success you think they have.
And when you look at their facility, I mean, when you pull in there, and I mean, Jim and I joked because we went there for a fundraiser for Gabe Evans, who's running for CD8 for Yadira Caraveo's spot, who isn't doing anything for Colorado. So we got to help Gabe get in there. We go there for a fundraiser and, donate some money. We got to get some good people in office. The only way to do it is it takes money. And anyway, we I've met Barbara before and I made a point to introduce her to Jim and you meet the woman and she is just like George. You say down to earth. They work hard. And they just have this aura about both of them of confidence, of professionalism. I mean, I look at them as a business, I'll say mogul, a business mogul.
Oh, yeah.
That I want to emulate them. I want to be like them. I don't want to say they're pioneers, but they are to a degree, Jim. And I love them both. They're just great human beings that believe in the right things and are good people. But, we joked when we left there, like, do you see a weed? Do you see anything out of place? Do you see anything that needs painted? Do you see anything dirty? I mean, you can't find anything at that facility. And all their facilities are like that. They're just amazing. And I guess I admire that. I look up to that. I wonder how to do that. How do we emulate that? How do we do those things? And Barbara looks at us and says, we can't keep our trucks as clean as yours. How do you do it?
Yeah, she's mad.
Yes. She's like, how does your equipment look better than ours? We have our own wash bay. And I looked right at her and said, we have 3 generations that work in that wash bay. That's just one of the 2 wash bays.
Yep.
And I said, it's a relentless job. They start at truck 1 and they finish at truck 10, right now 104 and soon to be 1010.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, and they do it all over again.
Yep.
And they get dirty and they go back out and wash them again. And, until you've washed a truck, you don't have any appreciation for that job. In the summer, it's hot. You got the water all over. In the winter, it's cold. You're wet. You're, in the steam, just all of the above. It is a harsh environment. It takes a special person to do that and to do a good job. I mean, over the years, we've, date back in time, we've had some trailers that are backed out of the wash bay, and I'm like, whoa. You got to pull that thing back in. We can't. That looks like a really unorganized striped tiger. You just see the wand marks randomly down the trailer where it got it wet. And the product that these guys put on, the way they foam the trailers, the chemicals, I shouldn't say chemicals. That's what they call it, but it's just soap.
Yeah.
And it just, they are an impressive group that don't realize how much we are impacted by their performance and what it makes JFW's family look like going down the road, period. Yep. You just mentioned it this morning, Jim. A truck pulled out.
That's what I was just going to tell you.
And it was one of the older trucks that's going to be 5 years old. I know the trailer's 5 years old because it's a T number, yep. Right? And that trailer looked like brand new. I mean, it was still shiny. You don't see 5-year-old aluminum trailers in Colorado that are shiny anymore. They're just a dull, acidized. Gray. They look like paint. Gray. Yeah, they're gray, Jim. Thank you. Yeah, it's like, it's terrible. And those guys keep our stuff shiny. They're amazing. And unfortunately, they're not listening to this.
Yeah.
They're not listening to the podcast and getting no build up for that. So I guess maybe we need to put a loudspeaker in there and just let it play.
Put toothpicks in their eyes.
Yeah, subliminal messaging, right? But, to their defense, they've all said they've tried playing a radio in there.
Yeah, you can't hear
the machines are so loud that they have to have the radios turned up. That's what's going to be nice about the new facility. There won't be any noise in there other than the sound of the sprayer going. Yeah. The machines will be in another room, sealed in. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And back to the point, that's what, if they're not hearing the accolades, I'm hoping the mechanics.
Right.
This is a special week for you guys.
Right.
And what you do for us, and it takes, something was mentioned, and I know, we have the mechanics, we have the drivers, we have the office, we have the wash bay, but we are one team.
Yep.
There's not individuals. That might be what your job is, but without all of us working together, there is no JFW. There is. So when we try to separate ourselves out, we're proud of the jobs you do in your division, but it's still all of us together.
Yeah.
When we deal with other companies, and we could get to that point of size where you lose a little bit of a touch, but we have to know what the goal is and what we're working together for it. we deal with so many companies, and we've had a few of those instances with Brandon where the left and right hand have no clue what's going on. And you're like, guys, do you know this? And they're like, no, have. And as you get bigger, that's tough, right?
We're there.
It's just,
Yeah.
we got to follow up. And the mechanics do a great job on keeping us together, their piece, the wash bay, the office, the safety team, all that stuff, payroll and the paperwork. And we're so proud of everybody. But the thing I want to kind of circle back to is Jam, and I know JR does it, and I know Super Dave does it, and I'm sure you did it, but Nikki and Jose and Gordon and Roderick, if this will be your first podcast, hopefully you listen to, you got to keep listening. You have to. You learn so much about us. You hear recognition. We do the shout outs, your birthday, your anniversary. You get a little prayer in your life. You get,
you talk about some safety,
some joking, and it's. Please listen.
Yeah. Who can't pick up one of those dad jokes and repeat it?
It's just, we're about to talk about the scale, and Scott down at Plant 13, and about tickets, and just everything.
Info you need to know.
Yeah. The high road hauling.
Yeah.
What can't you learn from the high road hauling?
Right.
If anybody's wondering why we do dad jokes, the dad jokes originally were to loosen us up.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh wow, we're about to record a podcast. Yeah. We need to do something a little bit relaxed.
It already starts out with a cool ass song.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, because I mean the tune of it is famous now to me.
Right.
I hear podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you said it, Jim. Let's talk about Wahlstrom. So the Martin Marietta Wahlstrom pit is back to their normal operating hours, which is 5 a.m. to 4 p.m. They had, shortened hours to install a new scale. Well, that new scale is installed next to the house scale. We don't know what it's going to be used for yet. I called Ray this morning. He was up there. He said he still weighed out on the old scale. He said the only difference is the door is missing off the ticket box and his ticket blew away, so they had to print him a new ticket.
Oh.
But not really sure what that scale is being used for yet, if they're going to take the old scale out, if it'll be a Terrence scale, or what's going to happen. Maybe we should call Michaela and find out.
Hopefully, Jam, it's self-evident.
Yeah, and
it wasn't today.
The smart ass in me is like, I'm sure we're going to use it to weigh trucks.
Should probably drive on it.
Right. We're going to pull on and measure some type of capacity at some point, right?
Yeah. I guess the point is, are they taking the old one out?
Right.
Are they leaving it? Is it going to be dual scale?
Hopefully it's in addition to, right?
Is it to just move more trucks?
Yeah.
Yeah, stuff like that. So
it's just funny when you just said that, Dave. I don't even know what made me click, but years ago, me and Dave were trying to order a truck, and it's been a long time since we found a salesman like Rick. I'll have to give you, another shout out here, but the salesman was asking me and Dave, why do you want that on your truck? And it was frustrating, and we'd argued about this, and we're like, because it's our truck. We're ordering it. This is what we want. And the guy's like, well, that just doesn't make any sense to me. And I don't know if it was Dave or myself, and we finally looked at the guy and go, listen, if we want to bring the truck to the yard and plant petunias in the stacks, that's up to us. That's what we're going to use it for. So I guess if they don't want to weigh trucks, it's their
right.
scale, and they can use it for whatever they want.
I tell you the one thing you shouldn't use a scale for, and that's to drive into it. drive on it. Don't drive into it.
Good advice.
Pinball?
Yeah. Unfortunately, we need to make that announcement.
Yeah.
Another good reason to listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
What should you do today? Not hit the scale.
So let's if it if it is a new scale, let's not be the first to hit it.
Yeah.
Or second.
Or last.
Well,
yeah. No, this is where we need to pay attention. This is where we suck and we can be better. Because we say head on a swivel. What does that mean? Right? We say safety has no blind spot. What does that mean? We say don't hit the scale. What does that mean? That means when you pull on the scale, you stop before you pull on it. You make sure you're centered. You put the truck in manual mode. You put it in first gear. You idle on the scale. You do not have the CB mic in your hand as you're driving on the scale, because you will intuitively pull the truck to the left as you reach forward to grab the microphone. You're distracted when you're making that announcement. As you're pulling on, use your hood mirrors to square up. Use your spot mirrors to continue to square up. Use your big mirrors to continue to pull your trailer on straight. Stop when you're all the way on the scale, and then do the same thing when you're pulling off. Don't be distracted. Don't do one thing and one thing at a time. It's never good to multitask. And this is when we say don't hit the scale. That's what that means, right? I mean, that's it in a nutshell to me.
That's it. Yeah.
We're just vague, right? You know, Mick taught us that. Well, what do you need to do better? Well, everything. We need to do everything better. What? What exactly does that entail? Everything. There you have it.
Well, here's one thing we could do better. Scott down at Plant 13 has requested that all trucks coming in to please announce themselves on the CB Channel 8 at the gate when pulling in. This way it could give the batch guys time to figure out what bin to put you in. Scott stated they're calling in while they're rolling under the conveyor and or while in the staging area by the rocks stockpile to back up. Just give them a little bit more of a heads up. It's just more courtesy.
Yeah.
It is more courtesy, and it's the way they want it.
Yeah.
Right, you guys?
Yeah.
I mean,
Who's the customer?
they are.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I like to, reading this, I like to joke, Jim. I'm just thinking to myself, you know, when you give them a chance to figure out what bin to put that in. So, I mean, in my mind, the empty one.
Right.
But, you know, maybe you want it, maybe they want it in the full one.
Right? Well, maybe they're running the empty one all the way empty.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, we don't know, right?
We don't know. So,
Maybe there's a mud flap in it they're trying to get out. I don't know.
so take care of the customer, no matter what kind of sense it makes to you. Yeah, but how'd you lose the mud flap?
I didn't lose a mud flap.
So I do want to add to that. When you're at the gate, that's quite a ways away, right? You're gonna need to
turn your squelch up.
Yes, so you can hear if they answer
Or is
you.
that down?
But
You might gain too.
But on the other end of the spectrum, are they doing the same
Yes.
thing? Will they be able to hear us at the gate?
Yes.
So maybe if as you're pulling in and they don't answer you, maybe you need to try again and maybe even try a third time.
Yeah.
You know, but do give them a second or two to answer, right? They're not just sitting there with the mic in their hand. It's kind of like our company radios. And when you call the shop, there's always more than there is to it.
A few minutes to do the right thing.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, you can't go, hey, 003 here with Rock. 003 here with Rock. Where do you want it?
Right.
003 here with Rock. Where do you want it? I don't even know who's in 003. I just
gonna
for some
put it
reason
where I
that
want
number
it.
popped in my head.
Just going to put it where I want it.
Yeah, the thing is, that material doesn't even look like what I have on, but I'm going to dump there.
Right.
Another thing we can be doing, this comes from Dispatch, double check your tickets. That includes your truck number, the material, your destination, and your weights.
And I want to kind of highlight because we just had this yesterday on a ticket. What is your weights, Jim?
That would be your total gross weight and your axle weights.
And what else? Because what was the mistake yesterday?
Tear weight.
The tear
Tear
weight,
weight.
yes.
Yeah.
But here's my hook on that. I mean, should you really need to look at your tear weight if you went in and you asked for 25 tons and you got 25 tons? Do you need to look at your tear weight? Generally, you don't. And I'm not trying to make any excuses.
It should stick out to you.
Yes, if I asked for 25 and I only left there with 22, I should be like, whoa, what's going on? 22.
And I'm 80,000.
Yeah, and then you're like, well, where am I?
Something's wrong.
Yeah, exactly. There's your, and the tonnage is huge.
Yeah,
it's the biggest numbers on there.
So should the gross, you guys. I'm 22 tons, but I never weigh 92,000.
Right,
Right.
right. Yeah, I'm 25 tons, but I'm 92,000.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah,
yeah.
That makes
that
sense.
can go both ways. So,
But it's still important, and I think and I know, to me, I would probably do the Toro and the XBE at the end of the day. That would be just me at the end of the day. I would do it. I like to do my tickets there, but to really stop some of this, because when we noticed the tickets were wrong, is when the driver did do XBE and the Toro at the end of the day. and it was too late
Right.
to catch the mistake.
Right.
So, I think the best practice is least you could catch it on that load
Yeah.
that it's wrong.
And it's just easier to fix tickets in the pit than out of the pit.
Absolutely.
Create more
Yeah.
work for
Yeah.
dispatch.
Yeah.
And
Look at all the things we're asking for that entail doing a good job. Everything that we do, there is a lot to it. We're telling you to be so careful pulling on and off the scale. Now you need to grab your ticket. Ray's ticket blew away
right.
just this morning, right? Because there's no door on the dispenser there for the ticket. So, gosh, there's so much. There's so many details that are so fine, and it's tough.
A lot of moving parts.
Yeah, what we do is a tough job, right?
Yep. No doubt.
And you guys, the majority of the time, make it look easy, gals.
I was going to say, as tough as it is, we were honored by doing the Pinnacle Assurance spot last week with Channel 7 News. And Univision saw that spot and saw what a great safety program we had and enjoyed watching that so much. They came down and they did the Spanish version yesterday. So great job.
Yeah, I think it's an honor. They reached back out to JR and asked, if we'd be interested in doing that, and JR, just being courteous, asked us all, and I just think it was amazing. Why would we not? And I know he was just being courteous, but that's important.
It is.
It's a thing. Spanish, English, but the gist of that is if we can do our safety program in another language that reaches how many more people. Yes, we're going to do it. We have to do it.
Yeah.
It's our responsibility.
JR mentioned the guy running the interview or the newscaster was super detailed.
Really?
Yeah, he said this guy, he had a lot of questions, or I'd just be talking and be like, I like that. Let's record it.
Oh, good. We'll have to get that one too and put the link out.
Yeah.
For our Spanish drivers, or the bilingual, because I've mentioned it. I don't know how many times I wish I was bilingual.
Oh my gosh!
I mean,
yes.
it'd be so helpful, and it's just
I would love
even
to be.
even when you travel anymore, if you want to be a traveler, another language, usually Spanish or English is spoken someplace,
right,
or a version of it.
I challenge you.
I need a challenge.
I speak Babel very well.
Jim, I challenge you to learn Spanish and fly helicopters.
That would be.
That's funny. My two are Spanish and a guitar. At some point, you have to have rhythm.
Yeah, maybe I could do the helicopter. I don't know.
Helicopter sounds easy, doesn't it, Jim?
Well, I have no music, and I could barely speak English. So
the nice thing about the Spanish is you have a wealth of Spanish people.
Right?
I know it.
Spanish people,
how much
speaking people. I mean, I learned a little bit. I'm starting to learn better things than the things I first learned. You know what I mean? But
it's funny where we focus first, right?
Just
Jim?
being, around Oswaldo and JR so much, it's like, you just pick up on some phrases, and I think that's where it starts, you know. But I cannot roll my R's no matter what.
Yeah, that's because we've mentioned that before, that when I've been in Mexico and stuff with Danielle, where I see her speak it quite a bit, they said she has a great accent does that, but that's her whole thing. The job she has now is she's not immersed in the language, and she feels very rusty about it. And I've told her same thing you just said. I said, for me to learn it, I could speak it to how many people here and practice, and not even doing that, Jim. So yeah, it is definitely a challenge.
Slack.
You're right, Dave. I mean, I could probably be a lot farther instead of watching TikToks.
Right.
Is to learn some Spanish.
And then watch the TikToks in Spanish.
Yeah.
I mean,
See?
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, such what we could do and what we do.
Well, a lot of it has to do with time.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. So we had a truck inspection the other day, and we failed 3 of the 4 things the driver didn't catch. So we did mention those things earlier. One of them was a broken windshield. Another one was the FMCSA sticker was not punched. Looked like a license plate light wasn't working. So yeah, and it had rubbing air hoses. So not very good.
Oh wow, rubbing air hoses.
Yep,
on the...
that's the dead giveaway. That's the Oh yeah, we need to check this guy
right?
out.
That's unbelievable.
That's a gimme.
And we're fighting the clear turn signals,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. The bulb, the color burning off the bulbs.
Yeah.
You know, and some of that stuff it's just the way it is. The cracked windshields, you guys. But the thing is the cracked windshield, was it intersecting? Was it in the way of the windshield wipers? Did it follow the rules? Because the port of entry people, they're just human too.
Right.
Maybe they're misinterpreting the rule on the windshield. And you can't challenge them and be rude about it, but you can also have a conversation. Can we look this up in the book? This is how I thought it was. But also the shop, we spend thousands of dollars, you guys, on replacing windshields, fixing chips. I mean, the money that flows through here, trying to stay within the DOT regulations on this item, that's an item that's a battle for all of us. But when you go to the license plate light, that's just and man, all the drivers, it's just a stupid violation.
Yes, it should never happen.
Should never happen.
The FMCSA sticker should never happen.
Yeah.
You're standing there fueling. Turn and look at that sticker.
Yeah. And we took it, if the shop's listening, we had a meeting about this. Mikey and John were up here, and they were just as upset because the shop sees that truck since the deal, and he goes, we haven't picked the sticker out.
Those should have been done in February and March.
Yeah.
We put them on, and we didn't pick the hole out of the sticker.
Right.
How many other trucks is that like that on?
Yeah.
Right. And who's looking?
Who's looking? Because you're supposed to be looking.
Yeah.
You're doing a pre-trip and a post-trip.
Yeah, you signed off on it on your sheet, but did you look?
Yeah.
I
mean, this is where we get upset. It sounds like we're bitching. We're complaining about the drivers.
Grinding our gears.
Yeah.
But why is that, Jim? Is this a carbon unit problem?
It is a carbon unit problem. We have problems with our metal units and our carbon units.
Yes. So we did a tour of the Adams County maintenance facility over there off 74th and Dahlia yesterday. And it was a really cool tour, right? I mean, I didn't learn anything really spectacular.
No,
it was nice to go see a facility
beautiful place that we paid for.
That we paid for, and my God, did we pay?
Yeah.
I don't know what that place cost, but
and the guy recognized that we were taxpayers.
Absolutely,
he offered we could take a Mac.
Yeah,
but I think he wanted rid of the Mac.
Yes, exactly.
Not that
exactly. But he went through. I mean, here's one of the craziest things, you guys. They have. How many bays was it, Jim? Was it 10 bays for the truck side and 8 bays for the, I'll say, automobile side, and
roughly
three little
vehicle.
motorcycle area, right?
Yeah.
But they had to go through and they had to put all of their oil, antifreeze, washer fluid, everything on a dispenser system via Wi-Fi off of a computer system because people were just taking it.
So you're the mechanic, Jam, with your laptop sitting right in front of you. You sign in because they have a name of the system that's running it all. You put unit 10, 0010 in. You put your name in, and you've done an oil change on it. You tell it to put 13 quarts in it, and it pumps exactly 13 quarts in that truck. But there is no oil being stolen or used inappropriately, not stolen.
If there's a gallon or a quart that leaves, it's recorded. It was sent to a vehicle. You know what I mean? So
you know what mechanic or what person did it.
Right.
So it was impressive. But is it necessary?
I would hope not, but at some point it must have been, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, my basis of the story or this discussion is the guy said, yes, we have a lot of problems with our carbon-based units.
Yeah, in context, Dave was like, "What wouldn't you do here? What's your biggest problem?" And it's also cooled the whole shop with swamp coolers.
Yes,
and he said, how they're getting their air for the swamp coolers is from inside, so it recirculates the same air. And he says it gets really damp in there or wet. But he said my air conditioning units are my biggest worry. And then he said, I have some problems with my carbon-based units also.
And Jim and I were like,
huh?
Does that mean
people,
gas?
Jim?
We're carbon-based.
Got
so
it.
we are, because their record, and it's on the wall, written on the whiteboard. Do you know the record punctures in one of their tires right now?
How many punctures in one tire?
In one tire.
14.
10.
Wow.
10, Jim.
I mean, and he just repeatedly, because they have the police, they do the repairs on the police cars as well. Not the auto body, which it looks like they're an auto body shop over there when you see all the cop cars with damage. But he was like, they're the worst on any car, on any vehicle. He goes, the way they go through tires and stuff. Yeah. And he goes, when they're, trying to test out those spike strips, and he goes, they accidentally drive over them themselves. And you're like, wait a minute, shouldn't their car be parked and they're and they're going over it themselves? But maybe it's the pursuit
the chase car.
Whatever the case may be.
They were funny too. Also, they said one of the guys, and like you're saying, in a pursuit, he said they went through a small dip, but he said both the fenders are bent.
Yeah. Because I don't think that was a small dip. That was a large jump.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that's
funny.
Like here, all of us are carbon-based, and we have problems.
Absolutely. Make sure you're checking those trucks out, everybody. Don't be scared.
Let me. I know we
get in there.
Get
in there.
Get you some.
I have my sheet here, so let me do this since we're talking about inspections. So from last year to May of this year here, just so everybody knows, we've had 72 inspections total. 13 violations, so outstanding, you guys. I mean, 13 violations out of 72 inspections. I love that. But I want to go through what the violations are here, but I want to read this. So out of service, and this is between the shop and the drivers, even though we're complaining about the stuff. So out of service for vehicles, the national average is 21.4, you guys. So, almost 25% of the vehicles that are inspected are out of service for the nation. All right. JFW's out of service percentage 0 in the last, I'm gonna call it 9 months, basically. Okay. Right, Jam? How can you not love those figures? So that's vehicle. So I just look at two of them because they have hazmat and the other stuff, and that doesn't mean anything to us. So driver out of service, national average is 6%. 6% of the stops, the driver is out of compliance. So JFW, driver only, nothing to do with our vehicles, 1.4.
Wow.
1.4. And so, and I still look at it. If this is a good word for this, it's your personal housekeeping.
I was going to say, I bet that 1.4 of driver out of service, DOT med card, driver's license canceled without them knowing about it.
Yep, and that's what because the severity weight of the violation, because we have one of those, Jam, and I didn't write down the date of it. Operating a commercial vehicle without a CDL, that carries 8 points. That is the highest. There's probably higher, but on our one, it's the highest. So let me just read right quickly the 13 violations. So, and you guys, I'm picking on you because anybody that listens to this podcast, that if you're a driver out there, this has to do with you because you're going to get a driver score. We're getting a score, but this is how important you are to us as you do your job. And if you're not doing your job, this is how it affects us. So first one of the 13 violations, lane restriction violation. Hopefully everybody knows what the lane violation restriction is because you have it every day when you go up to the Wallstrom quarry.
Right? Would that be being in the left lane when you shouldn't be?
I think so.
That would be my guess.
We got ticketed for that. So
why do we talk about that stuff? Because we got ticketed for it.
Right? Because it happens. Right? I don't even know.
Yeah, after our tour yesterday, Jim, I'll bring it up on something that happened. We've gotten tickets for parking where Emco Trailers is in front of the Diamond Shamrock across the street. For parking there to go into the Diamond Shamrock. Is it still a Diamond Shamrock? It is, isn't it?
I couldn't answer that. I don't think it is, Dave.
No, because they don't exist anymore.
Yeah,
it's the old Diamond Shamrock. Yeah. I don't know what gas station it is. Super easy spot to stop. I get it.
Grab a hot dog, grab something to drink.
I mean, you're not there 5
would you not
minutes,
stop
use the
there?
restroom, whatever the case may be, but it's no parking.
Yeah,
we're not allowed to park there. Probably because 50 trucks have tried parking there all at once.
Exactly.
Right? So
but you can't park there because the sign is in front of the truck. That's the reason we got a ticket.
Yes. and literally yesterday, one of the trucks was parked there with the sign literally 6 feet in front of the truck at driver's height.
Yes.
Right? I mean, it's 6 feet up in the air.
And what Dave means by one of the trucks, one of JFW's trucks, I just want to make sure they don't think
that we've gotten a ticket for parking there for because it says no parking was parked there.
Yep.
But it says no parking.
Yep. So let's finish these right quick. Speeding, that's the next violation. That's not truck, that's driver control.
Yes.
Next thing.
And they usually find something else when they stop you for speeding.
Oh, yeah.
Because how many of all the tickets we've gotten, Jim, they say, well, they stopped me because I was speeding, but they didn't write that up. Right. You wouldn't have gotten written up at all if you weren't speeding.
you wouldn't have been
stopped.
Yeah.
Had no reason.
Yep. So how about a driver failed to certify the accuracy of the information gathered by the ELD? Just not doing it right. We can jam, we're doing electronic. Come on, you guys. We have to do those correctly. You know, that's what we show the State Patrol. So again, driver control, nothing to do with the JFW truck. Operating a commercial vehicle without a CDL. Guys, that's making sure your med cards are current, make sure they were turned into the state, make sure your I'm going to say this, your child support is paid, because that's the other thing that we usually lose.
Yeah. Even though they were turned into the state, did we verify the state?
Verify it?
99.9% are turned in. The ones that don't make it are the ones that weren't verified that the state received it. Yep. That's kind of like the head on the swivel thing, Jim. What does that mean? Well, I turned it into the state, right? But did you verify they received it? You need to wait, 48 hours. What's her name up the street? Deb, Dr. Deb up the street here. She tells you, I mean, I've gotten my medical card there for years now, and she is so adamant, hey, this is the place, this is where you turn it in, this is where you send it, but you have to verify it. You have to verify it's there.
Yep. Housekeeping.
Yeah.
Housekeeping. Yeah. And you also, when your license needs renewed, you need to renew it.
Yeah.
That would be the other thing. And what does that mean? That means it's expired. You need to renew it, right? Driving a commercial vehicle, CDL is suspended for non-safety related reason and the state's driver's license insurance. So it's suspended. You have one, but I think that in relation to the med card. So the one is your CDL wasn't even valid, and the other one is suspended. So there's driver error. Driver has nothing to do with the truck, you guys. So then we get to vehicle stuff. So air suspension pressure loss. I assume that's the air leveling valve.
Yeah, leaking an airbag maybe. Yeah,
I don't know. So that should be caught by a driver. Or it should be discussed with the trooper because I've pulled on the scales, pulled off the scale, and the truck's sitting there and it's leveling.
Yes.
And the patrolman comes up and goes, you got an air leak. I'm like, yeah, it's right there out of the leveler, and I put my finger over the end of it. It'll stop here in a second when it levels, Yeah. But you have to know your truck to be able to talk to somebody. Brake hose or tube chafing and kinking under vehicle. Who's doing the pre-trip and the post-trip?
Nobody.
We have all those guys at night to fix it and the day guys. I mean, you might get your butt chewed if you come in the morning and go, hey, I have a hose chafing, but we'll fix it. It's not the time to have it fixed, but we'll fix it. No or defective ABS malfunction indicator. We used to have where the guys unplugged the light. And we're like, no.
That's the worst thing you could do.
That's making it more of a problem. Even if the light's on, that means it's functioning.
Yes.
It's when it doesn't function. When you flip your key on, make sure that light's lighting.
Yep. If you turn your key on and the light comes on and it goes off, you're in compliance.
Absolutely.
If you turn your key on and the light comes on and it stays on, you're in compliance. You need to write it up.
Yes.
If you turn your key on and that light doesn't come on or you disconnected it, you're out of compliance.
Right.
That's out of service. Yeah, that'll shut you down.
Amen, Jim. Right? That's just absolutely. So how about this? So same kind of thing. No or defective ABS malfunction indicator lamp for trailer manufactured after 98. So after 98, that's a few years ago that they're required. So all the drivers here should know about them. And then damaged or discolored windshield. I don't know whether there was a damaged issue or we had tint on it.
The windshield, I would say damaged. I haven't seen any of our guys. I mean, they've put the brow on before.
And that's discolored, Jim,
yeah,
in the windshield.
I have a feeling.
Yeah, and you can have zero tint on side windows or front windows.
Right.
Period.
Yeah.
Zero tint.
Yeah. And this does say windshield. But again, you guys, you have to know if it's damaged, you have to have a discussion. We try to catch them. But the other thing, are you writing them up?
Right.
Does Mike know about it?
And do you know the ruling? I mean, is it intersecting? Is it in your field of view?
Yeah, you can have a straight crack goes from top to bottom right through your windshield, right in front of your vision. That's not illegal. It's not till you have one that's horizontal that crosses it that it's illegal. Or you can have one all the way across side to side.
Right.
Again, not until it's intersecting that up and down and side to side meet.
Yep. So, kudos to everybody. 13 violations out of 72 inspections, but these shouldn't even happen.
Right.
They shouldn't be on there, you guys.
For me, Jim, how many of the shop fixing that the driver doesn't know about?
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I'm glad it's Mechanics Week because the mechanics keep us together. Mm-hmm. They just really do, because the list that we have from that inspection from last week, it's very disheartening. And very disheartening.
And the thing is too, Dave, is we have great guys. We have great mechanics. We have great drivers. We're working. Look at those percentages, all that kind of stuff. But the thing is what if you go someplace else and you don't have our team behind you?
Right.
You have to be an advocate for yourself. You know, how many times do we have driver come in here and go, they never fix shit on my truck? I mean, for years, have we not heard that?
Yeah.
And we want to fix the stuff, but again, we got to know about it.
Right.
You know,
communication.
And you have to do your job. But that's just
that last sentence there is the trick, Jim. You have to do your job. If you park your truck here at JFW tonight and you close the door and you just walk away, you failed.
Yeah.
You're a failure. Yeah. I'm going to call you out. You are a failure. You did not check that truck out, man. You didn't walk around it listening for air leaks in tires, for a nail through a tire. You didn't check your lights. You didn't give it the once over like you're supposed to. And that's a sin for me almost. You know what I mean? We have, we're to the point now we have two guys in the morning. One starts earlier than the other, to go right out of the gate. We have, guys here to help jump a dead truck if a light was left on or we have an issue with it or whatever the case may be. But man, it is so important, and it takes a minute to do that, and I would stack up Domenico against anybody here.
Jack, yeah.
Right.
I would put Jack up against anybody. There is a professional that checks his truck out every night. It takes him a few minutes. He knows exactly what he's looking for. That's a guy that's never going to have a flat tire in the morning. You know what I mean? He's not going to show up and go, oh, this light's out. And, if he would happen to, it truly went out. Right? It just went out.
Yeah.
It would be an anomaly.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it truly went out. Jack, bless you for the job you do. You've worked for your family. You've ran a business. You know what it takes, and you're a true professional. I love the fact of how you do it. And there's many of them here. Jack sticks out for me because we see him go by, and another silent warrior, just a guy that comes in and grinds every day and gets it done and knows how to do it.
He's got really good stories too.
Yes, he does. Yes.
Yeah, and because he's lived on both sides.
Right.
Yes.
So he right now he's taking the easy route.
Yeah.
And
he just wants to be a dude.
Yeah, inspecting the truck is the easy route because he knows we have people here to fix it. And I have to say I don't know the driver that got pulled over that got the four violations, but you didn't do your job. Right. I'm calling you out on it. You didn't do your job. I'm not trying to embarrass you, but you can do a shitload better than what you just did.
Right.
And we've given you all the tools. So, step it up. I want to mention, that in our meeting, JR mentioned it to us. So anybody that's got Prime or Amazon, it's a documentary on the Blue Angels.
Oh yeah.
And I haven't finished it, but it's good, you guys. And there's over, I think it's 3,200 planes or 3,200 pilots that America can call to service at any time. And there's only 6 Blue Angels that are called to do to fly. And the one guy I've watched half of it. He says, I had pretty good confidence in my flying skills. He says, you get here and man, he said, I'm in fact, in one of the maneuvers, the whole team turns and he turns the wrong way. And they're being watched doing the maneuvers down on the ground. And the one lady, her call sign was Doc. I remember that. And she said,
I remember that too.
I'm watching this. And she goes, do I break in and ground him?
Yes. Is it a safety issue?
Yeah. Or do I let him keep flying? What's he going to do next?
Yes.
And one of the things, and I want to go back and play it, they talk about a Vince Lombardi quote about we're going to go out and we're going to strive for excellence. Perfection. But we may not reach perfection, but along the way we will find excellence.
We will achieve excellence.
Yeah, and I want to get that quote because it is by trying to be better, you're going to fall on being, perfected. Yeah. You're going to be better.
Here's the deal though, you got to try.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to try. Doing nothing and closing that door and walking away from that truck, you're not trying. You're a failure.
If you shoot for mediocre and you fall, you're going to just not be good at all.
Yeah.
And those 6 guys, Jim, and I love this part because however they're filming it, it looks like they're not doing anything. And the one guy said they start at this formation. Their famous formation is a diamond formation. And as they get better and better and better, they tighten it and tighten it and tighten it. And the first tightening is that if you could open the canopy at 400 miles an hour, you can reach up and touch the plane above you. 18 inches is what they do. And you're like, 400 miles an hour, you're 18 inches. Then they have another call sign or they call it something. They tighten it up again where they run the blue and the yellow stripes on the planes together at over 400 miles an hour.
Yeah.
But the photography on it looks like they're just out, they're going about 10 miles an hour because it's relative.
Yeah, you don't realize what they're doing.
No.
And when you watch those 4 planes when they're in diamond formation, when you watch them move, it is like they are all connected together.
Yeah.
There isn't one single movement. I really focused on it. They move like those 4 planes are on a platform.
Yeah.
It's the craziest thing.
But that's pilot 1 going on pilot, or 2 on 1, 3 on 2, 4 on 3, and each one of them do it, and they follow each other. And the one guy mentions he never looks to his left. He's like, or right or left, however he's doing it. But he said all the controls are like on my right or something.
Yes.
And he just, the whole time the camera's on him,
He's just looking at the other wing.
He just looks right.
Yes.
He's not looking forward. He has no idea. He just I hope to shit the number 1 guy doesn't fly into something.
That's not very good at eye lead time.
Right? No, they don't have their head on the swivel. They're like, ooh, there's a wing. That's what I'm going off of.
Yes.
And think about the training that takes, And then they were going over they were weightlifting and they were going over the stuff. And when they mentioned that stick, otherwise I think it would be too easy, but the stick is 45 pounds of pull constantly.
Really? I didn't catch that.
Yeah, 45 pounds. Otherwise you wouldn't be able to recognize you needed to change it.
Yeah, you'd probably be all over.
Yeah.
It'd be like a stiff suspension.
Yes.
Like on a race car.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, Jim. Yeah. And so, anyway, if when you get a chance, watch it.
Yeah.
Have you gotten to the G-Force training yet?
Oh, no.
Oh, very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting because I didn't realize when they put on flight suits, they have a G suit.
Oh.
And it actually pressurizes their legs to keep the blood from rushing to their legs and keep it in their head.
Well, I know
it inflates. Well, they can't fly like that. they can't fly with their G suits on because like it would put pressure in their arm and it would raise their arm up, which would change their movement. So they actually have to train harder than your average pilot because your average pilot doesn't have to hold that tight formation, right? When they're G suit, if they were wearing G suits and they were flying 18 inches apart and that suit inflates, it would move their arm and they would hit each other. Wow. So they actually train to fly without the G suits on. So they're above and beyond with the average, but in their little simulator, 2 or 3 of them pass out. Wow. I mean, they show them and they just, and then they interview them afterwards. And the pilot's like, you don't know what happened. You don't know. And it's seconds, you guys. It is literally like 3 seconds. Boom, they're out. And they flop down and they obviously slow the simulator instantly. And then the guy's talking to him, hey, you got you, lean your head back. And those people come to in their eyes. They can't focus. They don't know where they're at. They don't know what's happened. I mean, it's incredible. It is very incredible.
That doesn't sound fun.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny because none of them that passed out thought they were going to pass out.
Right.
And they did. I mean, and it was seconds. Seconds.
Yeah, I'll have to finish it because they talk about the G's they pull about doing exercise. So that's much what they train what you're talking about. Because he said I have to tighten my legs and my stomach, and you bring blood back up. That's the practice of bringing blood back up to you because you go to tunnel visioning. And then the breathing exercise, and you learn to fly at 6 or 7 Gs.
Yeah, because they talk about squeeze your legs, squeeze your butt, squeeze your abs, keep everything tight. Yeah. And it's almost like they're trying to compress.
Yeah, they're trying forcing to teach blood.
Yes, they're trying to teach their body to compress to not allow the blood to flow into it. Is what it sounds like. So
good show, you guys.
Yeah, check it out. Good stuff there. So somehow we need to turn that back into check your truck out.
Well, I was just going on procedures, Dave.
Sure.
They go over it. They're in that flight room. They're going over this. They're going over that. I mean, it's just,
they're doing their very best. They're not letting anything slip through the cracks.
And the truth is, you guys, and you said it, Dave, we have a lot of Blue Angels here.
We do.
We have we will have 110 trucks. And I'm sure there's dozens of guys that would be picked those 6 because they rotate.
Yeah.
It's not always the same 6.
They pick the next 6.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, I don't know if everybody knows this, but June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, but we don't want to talk about that. Just kidding. Men's mental health is important, just like anybody else's. I don't know why June is a specific month to acknowledge that, but I don't know. Probably a lot of times, men are potentially the breadwinner in a household. Not all the time, but many occasions they have a lot of pressure of, keeping their family going and dealing with everything else. And, some may be overworked or who knows. But the other problem is a lot of times men don't want to talk about their mental health. So that was my little joke there. But if you are, struggling, please come let us know. I'm happy to talk to you about it. I am not a counselor or a therapist, but sometimes just, talking to your peers is helpful. And
I think you do a great job, Jim.
I appreciate that. Yeah. What you say would be held in the utmost confidence as well. So, if you're struggling, please let me know. Or if you're more comfortable with somebody else on the leadership team, or maybe one of the girls upstairs or one of the brothers, whoever it is. Yeah. If you're struggling, don't hold that all to yourself. Let us know what's going on.
Yeah, and I don't want to toss it out there without having the knowledge, but I was of the impression our NICE app had some pretty good things available.
From what I understand, has a decent program.
Right. I don't know how to approach it. I mean, other than you start on the NICE app.
Yeah. You just pick mental health versus.
So far, that NICE app, I have nothing for thinking it was a scam when we got it. I mean, all of us at this table were so skeptical of that. And I'm giving it 100 out of 100 so far. I love that thing.
That's great. I wasn't sure where you were at. I didn't know if you guys liked it or if you thought we were getting enough use. Have you checked our usage? Have we got with Flood and Pete? Are they able to look at that?
Flood and Pete told us we've saved, was it 35 or 45,000?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's putting a dent in it.
It's making an impact.
And the thing is, I guess what? It's convenient.
Yeah.
It is easy.
Yeah,
I mean, you make a phone call and they come to you.
I can't tell you how many people I've met right here in this podcast studio.
Yes.
Nice
yeah. or the red shop office next door where we train.
Yep. We got a table over here. They'll lay you right down on the table.
I mean, I just love it. I mean, it couldn't be more convenient. I can't believe it. Yeah. I mean, I actually think like, why would I even go to the doctor's office? Why?
Right. Yeah, if you can get stuff done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was telling one of the new candidates about NICE, and they were like, really? That's amazing. So, I don't know. Let's just talk about it real quick. What do you think one of the toughest things you've gone through as men would be?
Maybe as I'm talking to you, Jen, maybe I'll come up with that. But I think that's because this is a tough subject for me, because I think in some of the stuff, I want you to be able to take a hit and get back up. Right. I think that's anybody's job, men or women, right? We had when Al Fry was on, what's the biggest thing when you're digging a hole? Stop digging, right? I want people to be able to rebound, and I'm going to talk because I'm a man. I'm going to talk about being a man, and that's what you're saddled with. You carry your family's things on your shoulder, and I'm talking the difference between man and women. I don't want maybe somebody will go, I'm a woman and I can do all that, and I'm like, well,
probably better than us,
right? And I wasn't raised that way. There was the men and the women role. That's the way I was raised, And I've seen my wife, I've seen my mom, I've seen my daughters do things I can't even do, but I know there's things they can't do that I can do.
Sure.
And that's my job, right? But I think when we're talking about this at a certain point, some of those things you're struggling to stand back up after being hit.
Right.
That's when I want somebody to come talk to me.
Right.
Or talk to you.
Sure.
Or talk to anybody, because that's when you struggle with that spot, you need a little help getting up, and I want everybody to know I'll help you get up. I've had my brother, I've had you, I've had my parents, I've had people here that I've had time. You asked me the toughest time, I can't put my finger on them. I've struggled getting up, Jam. Mm-hmm. But I've had all of you to help me get up.
Yeah.
And whether you recognize it, whether Dave recognizes it, whether I recognize it, it probably just happened because I reached out.
Yep.
And I just watched a bit this morning where a woman was doing a TikTok, and she goes, "My husband is good looking. He's not a Green Beret, but Special Forces, speaks 6 languages." And can have any woman basically he wants, was her point. And she said, why did you choose me? Why are we together? And he goes, I chose you because I want somebody to be with me that will go to battle every day. And I'm just touching on that. Not that you pick your spouse to go to battle with you, but life is a battle. Mm-hmm. And this guy being in the special services service and her recognize that life's a battle. Sometimes that battle is too much for that man, and you need your spouse, you need a friend, you need something. So that would be, I want you to be able to get up off your ass. I'm a proponent for that.
Right.
Fucking get up.
Yeah.
But sometimes you need some help. That would be my, I don't know.
I like it. Yeah. Yeah, we're designed for community. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes when that fight gets too much for you to fight by yourself, it's important to have people in your corner, for sure.
There just always needs to be a plan, Jim. You need, like you said, we're built for community. You need to have a partner. You need to have a friend. You need to have a spouse. You need to have someone at some point in time to help you. But I'm a firm believer in yesterday, today, and tomorrow.
Right.
And, I've ran into so many people that are carrying baggage from yesterday And I like to use the analogy, and I switch it to a driving analogy. If you're driving down the road right now at 60 miles an hour, you're focused on nothing but what's ahead of you. Mm-hmm. If you look out your back window and try going down the road at 60 miles an hour, you're going to crash.
If you try to look
out that back window and keep driving, you are going to crash. Yeah. You're going to go out of your lane, you're going to run off the road, and you're going to crash. So why let yesterday that you're looking out the back window at crash you today?
Right.
Today's a new day. Today's the present. Tomorrow's a gift. Yesterday happened.
Right.
If you did something wrong, talk about it, but move on.
Absolutely.
They call it baggage for a reason. If you effed up, man up, say I effed up. If you need to apologize to someone. Otherwise, move on. You can't, and I know that's easy to say. That's easy to do. I have my own skeletons in my own closet with family stuff, right? That you just you can't get over this or you can't get past that. Well, you can't let it affect you, and I when I say you can't let it affect you, that's my analogy.
You need to learn not to let it affect you.
Yes.
Reach out for help.
Yes.
Because that forces people into addictions, that forces into divorces, because
pretty soon you're looking to kill pain, whatever the case may be. And
but if you can recognize that there's an issue, talk to somebody about it. That's the reason for this month. Yep. That's the reason for this comment here.
Absolutely. I would say for me, when I think about that question, it's even hard for me to answer. What's the hardest thing I've been through as a man? And I've been through some things. I mean, there's been suicides, there's been tragedies, there's been betrayals, there's been ups and downs of businesses or jobs or so many things. And, recently, I'm not in there right now. I had to take a break while I was in school, but, I went to counseling. Just to talk to somebody and try to understand how my brain works, because I think, Brother Dave, you told me years ago, wow, you are a master of compartmentalization. And I thought about that and I thought, that might not be so healthy. And then that may not be that great of a thing to be a master of compartmentalization, right?
I think it is and it isn't, Jim.
Well, here's the thing. This is what I learned in counseling, right? So your brain will naturally compartmentalize things to protect you. Mm-hmm. That might hurt. We're going to put that in a box, put it over here. That's not necessarily a bad thing. The bad thing is not one to go revisit that thing.
Right.
If it needs to be revisited.
Yeah.
Not everything you put on the shelf needs to be brought back down off the shelf, but if it's creating problems in your marriage, if it's creating problems for you at work, if it's creating problems with substance abuse, if it's creating problems for you, that thing does need to be brought back off the shelf and dealt with.
Right.
So the act of compartmentalization is not necessarily bad. What you do with it after it's put on the shelf, is, potentially where there could be a problem. But unfortunately, I feel like I haven't been through the hardest thing yet. You know what I mean? I don't know what that's going to be. And, I kind of freaked myself out driving into work thinking about that this morning.
Will you, Jam? Because maybe you have the tools and the support from your family and Ace to not even know that is going to be your toughest thing yet.
Yeah.
And I just want to mention right quick, when like you said, you need to revisit that box because you put it in a compartment, but also which you need to deal with. But when Dave says don't look back, don't visit the past, don't, here's this thing in this compartment. The thing about that in this,
don't dwell on it. I left that part out.
Dwell on it,
because you need to know your history.
That's it. That's what I'm getting at, Dave. Is learn from it, though, you guys.
Yes.
Don't go back and repeat it.
Right.
That's the moving forward.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm moving forward. I'm not gonna do that again.
Yeah. You hit the scale because you did this. Don't do that again.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just thinking, and it's such a small thing, because what we're talking about is deep, real thing.
Right.
Divorce, addiction, things that paralyze you, panic attacks.
Right.
But I'm thinking, if you didn't post-trip your shit yesterday or pre-trip, it doesn't matter.
Right.
But if you do that today, you're a freaking superhero.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's that simple.
Yeah.
My thing, Jam, I know you specifically said the question, what's the hardest thing you've gone through? I don't know that I have a hardest thing.
Right.
I just have a pile of things.
Right.
Like, when is the pile going to end? Oh my, how much more can we stack on? Like, what is the next problem? I haven't finished the last 37.
Right.
I don't need any more. You know what I mean? And that's where at a certain point you get to a breaking point. But I also think at a certain point, you know, you have to sit down and go, well, what would make my life easier? You know, you jump back to Al Fry. Like, what's the first thing you do when you're digging a hole? Stop digging. Right? You know, what can I do to make my life easier? Right? If these are pressures that I have, what makes my life easier?
Mm-hmm. You know, my brother Chris used to tell me, rest in peace, but when you start getting hit from all these different angles and you start getting that pile built up, sometimes you can only deal with one thing at a time.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you know what? I'm gonna tackle this. And that's where your priorities have to come into play and kind of pick and choose your battles. You know, I've also been called a self-preservationist, you know what I mean? Which, you know, some people may look like, hey, you know what? That's not a great character. Other people might be like, well, you have to protect yourself. You know, to me, like, I want to protect myself and my family and my house. And then we start reaching out to other people. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So,
because if you didn't preserve yourself, you're not going to be there,
right?
And you're not going to be there to help your family.
You can't help anyone, right?
Yeah, you can't. You
got to put on your mask before you put on the other people's mask.
Exactly.
Right?
I mean, they go over that in every plane flight, right? You know, and I love the I don't know, what do you call them? The little sayings. I don't know if there's a better description of the things, but. You know, all those problems, you know, the old thing is, how do you eat a whale?
One bite at a time.
And you got to take that problem and you got to deal with it. But I want to go back to, when you can't deal with all those problems, ask for some help.
Absolutely.
You know, and I have to say that, you know, and I know we've talked enough. I know that Ace would go to battle with you. Jam, you know, I know Janet would go to battle with you, and Janet and Holly and Dave and myself, we've been through battles together. We just did it with trying to get Dad's house ready for sale. Right. It was a battle every weekend. Was it like?
Are you kidding me? It's still a battle. Oh my God!
Was it like I'm gonna lose my home battle?
No.
No. You know, was it? You know, we got cancer in our family? No. But if we didn't come together and do battle, we'd still be looking at all the stuff in Mom and Dad's house,
right?
You know, and so there's so many facets of it, and I don't want anybody to take that you know, I want you to get up though. I want you to try to get up. You got to do that. But if you need some help, ask. That's the mental
Make a plan.
aspect. Yeah, mental aspect.
Yeah,
you know, if you put something in a compartment to survive yourself, good for you.
Right.
But then deal with it, right, Jam?
Absolutely. Good talk, man. Yeah. I like it. Well, this leads us to our next subject, and I titled it Priorities, Partying, and Trucking. Right? So, I don't know how much we want to say or not say. Certainly not talk about any names on the podcast, but we ran into a situation. We could talk about this pretty openly. Right?
Yeah, I mean, other than a name, let's
because roll. This is a segue from
men's mental health.
This is mental health. This is doing your job. This is DOT. This is life.
And I don't know. I'm going to step off the edge. This person has been struggling because he's had things going on in his life.
Or does he have things going on in his life because he was struggling?
Same. You're right, Jan. Right.
I mean,
this is what we're talking about.
Right. I feel like those are the same words in a circle.
Well, here's the thing, though. Like,
that was an egg roll joke.
Push it.
How do you roll it?
To me, we got to ask. All right. So here's a situation, right? We had a driver. He ended up not being able to pass the UA. You know, he just called and said, "Hey, I can't pass." You know. Unfortunately, there was some history there, so we couldn't last chance him to do anything.
Right.
Our hands were tied. That was his last day of trucking. His trucking career is over because he made a bad decision a few times, but most recently this past weekend where he would not be able to pass a drug test. Okay, so not JFW's fault, not any man in this room's fault, not anybody out there's fault. And, you know, this driver, he's admitted to it and said, hey, I own it. This wasn't you guys. This was me.
Right.
Right.
Which takes big shoulders, but how do we get him to stop?
Right. Absolutely. Right. So, but to me, I heard somebody make the comment, well, what he's going through isn't so bad, where, you shouldn't have to party because of that. And it's like, no, like those other things going on in his life may be happening because he's partying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it is a little different. What came first, the chicken or the egg, I guess?
Well, there's the dig.
Right.
You're digging a hole. What's the first thing you do?
You gotta stop.
Stop digging.
Absolutely.
And I guess one of the things I want to point out there is those decisions, that train of thought, that digging that he was doing, it jeopardized each and every one of you listening to this.
Absolutely.
If you work here at JFW, you're in jeopardy. And I guess my explanation to that, because you may be like, well, Brother Dave, how did that jeopardize me? Well, if that driver was in an accident, not even his fault, right? He could be involved in an accident that we talk about all the time that wasn't his fault, and it was a fatality. That's a mandatory drug test. So he gets drug tested. Whatever was in his body shows up. We go to court because they call us to court because it was a fatality.
Right.
Or the minute it's a fatality, that's a mandatory DOT audit. DOT's out here. And we are required to do the drug test. We do the drug test. DOT shows up and goes, well, did you know this guy was on this? No. Well, he was in an accident. This was a fatality. Huh. What if he wasn't on this? Yeah. And all of a sudden, here's all this liability.
Nuclear verdict.
All of our lives were in jeopardy of not working here and losing JFW. Our doors would be closed because one person's decision was affecting us all.
Yeah.
And that pisses me off. I'm sorry for what he was facing, but those are selfish decisions. And I guess when you have the knowledge and you're still willing to risk not only your career, but ours,
right?
That's painful for me.
We pray for this.
Yes.
We pray for the safety of our fleet, all of their families, and all the other families and individuals we come across on the road today. And we also pray for patience and to making a good, safe decisions.
You should highlight that last part. You should read that part again. It should be in bold.
But I want to mention you guys because we're talking about it. Is his mental health poor enough he can't reach out or get the proper help? And I know you reversed 1 and 2 and 2 and 1.
Yeah.
Jim, you asked that question. And I want to mention, I know I love Albert Fry's quote, when you're digging yourself a hole, what's the best thing to do? Stop digging. We've mentioned it 4 or 5 times. But also, sometimes you got to dig.
Right.
You got to dig in. You got to get.
You got to dig your heels in.
Yeah, you got to dig because you got to move the pile in front of you.
Well, you got to fill the hole now.
I know we're throwing all these quotes out here, and you've heard me say this one, and this one's from my brother Chris as well. But when you're driving down the road and you get a flat tire, you don't get out and slash the other 3, right? You fix the flat and you move on down the road.
It's a lot easier to fix the 1 than the 4, right?
Yeah, I mean, just because one tire is fucked doesn't mean you get out and you slash the rest of them.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You fix it.
Yes.
And the crazy thing, and it could be some mental health, but how many times have we watched somebody get out and slash the rest of the tires?
Oh man.
It's crazy.
I mean, how many?
Crazy, right?
We can probably come up with more people that did that than people that just fixed the 1 tire.
Yeah.
Well, they stick out. We got a lot of people just changing that flat tire without us.
Yeah, and we don't even know. You're right there, Jim. I mean? That was bad.
But the ones that don't stick out, and it's like some of the things that we deal with on a daily basis. That'll wear on your mental health in itself. Mm-hmm. Like, this person did this, this person did that, this person can't do this person can't do that. Like, there's a lot of life that happens here at JFW.
Right.
All day long. It's a living, breathing monster. So, but what's really sad is, this person, nothing but love for him.
Oh, totally.
Tons.
Yeah.
Tons.
Just,
good human being.
Yeah, tons.
Yeah, just in a bad spot.
And wish him the best. The most success going forward, if that's possible. But
anything's possible.
Yeah,
it is. Oh yeah.
And I'll be praying for him and everything else. Yeah. So, anything else on that, guys?
I don't think so.
No. All right. Questions from the audience. I did get a question from James Koger. That was Rick Ray's friend that, we gave a shout out to. He gave a shout out to us. Mm-hmm. We mentioned him last week. He wants to know if anyone here has ever driven a belly dump and do we have any good ideas to remember when doing so. I never have. I just know you got to keep that thing moving when you dump it.
When everybody mentions that, Jam, and the newer ones are, operated a little bit differently. The one we had was air operated. Oh. So it had a giant tank on the back. I don't know what it held, 200 cubic feet of air. I don't know what the hell it was, but
that thing had a tank on it like our air compressor for our shop.
Right. Yeah. So the big thing is when you pulled on the job, I know you don't back up. I'm just trying to give an example. If you're low on air, build some air up before you go try to hit the gates, because the gates need to open up. The two things, or a couple of things is know the material you're hauling, because there's a huge difference. Sometimes you road base with them. Sometimes you're just doing, dirt piles, just regular old dirt. You need the gate. Make sure your chains aren't set for, like you just hauled road base and you're trying to spread a road and your chains on your gates are set tight. And you go to a dirt job and your chains were set for road base and you flop the gates open and that dirt ain't coming out.
Right.
And then you can't get the gates closed to get the chains unhooked to get the gates to flop all the way open. And then, absolutely. The speed thing, Jam, man, when you're like base, if you don't set your chains, it's going to come out fast.
Right.
Some dirt comes out fast, sometimes it doesn't. And the two things I always like to do is power divider in and, be in the proper gear, not too high a gear. So when you're bogged down, you can't get another gear. You can't shift it. You can't fix it. Mm-hmm. Be at higher RPMs, and I'm making this gear up like fourth.
I was going to say third, Jim, and put it in manual mode.
Yep, manual mode.
That was my suggestion.
If you're an automatic, an old stick, be in that gear that you can. It's going to pull. It's going to pull, and definitely the power divider put in.
And the thing is, we ran them when we had spring suspension, so it wasn't that affected.
Yeah.
Now you're going to drop all that weight. I mean, I'm one of those guys because I'm anal about seeing those airbags just skyrocket. I would almost roll in, drop your airbags, and what I mean by this when I say drop them, flip the switch, open your gate, just so you have a little more air escaping faster, then those airbags will skyrocket. You don't want the airbags down. You don't want to be empty like we dump our end dumps. You want to have air in them. Yeah. But what I'm getting at is you want to trigger them to start dropping air. Open your gate, roll through, flip your air back up. The goal is to never have empty airbags, but the goal is to not have them maxed out.
Because that's going to take weight off an axle. And you're going to spin out easier.
Exactly.
Because that weight comes out and the bags are going, hey, I didn't know I was empty.
Right. And they're just going to shoot straight to the top of the shock stops.
I was going to say either the shocks or the straps. Yeah. So you're fully, but those were the.
And then to me, one of the most important things is when you're maintaining it or you have to get in it and clean it. There's several different versions of how you lock them open.
Yeah, bar.
But for Pete's sake, whatever you do, lock them open. Do not just stand up in that clamshell and assume they're going to always stay open. You have no idea. I've seen safety chains on them that when they're open, you just hook the chain. I've seen almost like our landing legs, but they go sideways and you block them open. Whatever you do, if you get in there, block that thing open. Your legs will not stop those gates. Period. They stop them, but it's after it breaks them in two.
Yeah, and it's going to be knee height.
Yeah, and we've seen it.
Yeah.
Really?
So, for me, number one tip, you're going to do any maintenance and get in there, by God, you better have some way to stop it.
I'll be paying somebody else to get in there. Hey, look, bud.
Hey, I need a lumper.
And
those are called kneers.
So many different versions. Like Dave said, the safety is, if there's a ladder inside, you can climb down, clean all of it, get out, then open the gates. It's just knowing your product, and being good at your job and thinking about the what if. It's all. Yeah,
it's all about thinking.
Yeah,
good question, James. I didn't think we were going to be able to answer that. There you go.
There you have it.
Safety topic of the week from JR: tow hook, pins, and getting pulled out. So as we mentioned earlier, Rich Trujillo pulled into a pit and another JFW truck was stuck in the rock soft area. There was also a less experienced driver there attempting to help. These two newer drivers never called anyone for help. Rich showed up just in time and was able to catch them before the loader started pulling, as they had already placed the chain through the toe pinhole and around the bumper. Rich saved us from getting a bumper ripped off.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Scary.
I do need to say there was a little bit of discrepancy. I heard JR talking to one of those newer drivers yesterday, and it sounded like maybe there's a little confusion. But call somebody. If you get stuck, the best thing to do is call.
Absolutely.
Call somebody on the safety team. We're going to want to see pictures. Sometimes it's as simple as you just need to shovel a little bit.
You run into that, don't
Yeah. Sometimes you need a shovel and get pulled out by a loader, right? But we always need to hook up the chains the right way. You never want to hook up to the rear axle of the trailer. That chain will slip. You'll break airlines off the axle. Now you got bigger problems, so just cover your butt. Give us a call. Let us make that decision of the best way. We may have somebody in the area that could help you. We may just have a more experienced driver getting ready to pull in, and we could tell you, hey, hang on, we got Rich coming in, and we got Showtime around the corner, or somebody that's seen this 100 times.
Yep.
Don't just assume that you're going to be in trouble. You'll never be in trouble for getting your truck stuck and calling for help.
Yeah, for stopping.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
What we get upset about is when you just try to get out and you snap a drive line, or you blow up a rear or a diff, or
you're hopping, whatever.
You rip a bumper off, or damage an axle on a trailer without calling anybody. So
here's kind of one of the back to my head on the swivel thing, right? Why were we over here? How did we get stuck? Were we in an area we didn't belong?
Yeah. Apparently the loader was asking people not to be in that area, and we were there anyway. And the second driver kind of followed the first driver.
These are some of the things we talk about. Don't drive where it doesn't look like nobody's been. Right? Stay on the beaten path. We are the beaten path. Stay on it.
Yep.
So don't go where someone hasn't gone before. We're not the USS Enterprise. We don't need to boldly go where no one's gone before. Trucks. People think because trucks can pull 100,000 pounds, they can go anywhere. They're actually useless.
They can't go anywhere.
Yeah, they can get stuck on a tray of ice cubes.
Is that a lake?
GPS says to go that way.
It is pretty funny you bring up Star Trek, but you do know when they boldly went where nobody else has gone, they usually got in trouble, right? I mean, that was the gist of the story.
Yeah, that's true.
And how you got out.
Yes, we're not looking for Klingons. Please don't go there.
And I want to mention here too, you guys, and I'm going to brag on myself and Dave here, and you just mentioned it. The question about the belly dump is, and you said you didn't know if you'd get an answer, right? I think we spit out some really good knowledge just then, Dave. We've been there, right? We've stuck.
We know how it works.
We know how it works. We've owned it and everything like this. We're just asking you on like when you get stuck, call us.
Stop.
We have a shitload of knowledge in being stuck. We have been stuck.
Yeah. Have you been stuck, Jim?
I've been stuck.
And
we've had. We own a few trucks.
Right.
They've been stuck.
Have you ever broke something while you were stuck?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So you know how not to break something while you're stuck too.
Right.
Well, we don't know everything, and I'm sure we're going to break some more shit.
We're going to learn more.
But we have stories.
Right.
I mean, the one that pops in my head is the truck that was stuck when Dave tied the chain around the railroad track and the train come down the track.
Oh, geez.
We weren't worried about the track. We were worried about derailing the coal train.
Yeah.
But the chain didn't hold up well to the coal train.
Yeah.
But don't do that.
Lesson learned.
Yeah. I mean,
train.
Yeah, that stuff's so fun. I mean, we popped the, God bless him, he's passed away. He got stuck up on this job site, and we literally just gave up. We just stopped, waited till the next morning when it was froze,
and drove right out.
And drove right out. Yeah, why? It was just first thing in the morning.
We would have just been dragging it through the mud for hundreds of feet.
Spun.
We let it freeze overnight and drove the truck right out the next day.
Yeah, and it was like that was like a win-win. You know what I mean? So yeah, just stop, you guys. Just ask for help. I don't care where you've worked before. I don't care how many times you've been beaten. Just ask us. We're not going to yell at you.
We're here to help. We are your support. You are our front line. We are your support, and have a little bit of information when you call too. just don't be afraid to stop. We run into this a lot, right? Do a little bit of investigation. Stop. No one's holding a gun to your head. Please just stop, settle down, take a few deep breaths, and realize where you're at and what's going on. It seems to be almost easy to panic, right? Like I got to get out of the way. There's people in the way. Oh, the Coors can is full. I got to get back and get another load. Things like that. And it just stop. If you have a question, think through it. Go, well, what is this? What is that? Why am I stuck? Why does this look like this? Whatever the case may be, just take a few minutes and rationalize through it, but you investigate it for a few seconds, come up with what makes sense and what doesn't.
Yeah, I think the only part of the whole conversation that ever upsets us and we get curse or tight-lipped on the radio is, what kind of shirt do you have on today? My shoes are red. Yeah. That's what bothers us.
Yes.
Right.
Answer the question that was asked.
Yep. Yeah. That's the only thing that's infuriating, that you'll hear us get upset. But man, you call in and go, hey, I just left Fort Lupton. I'm down at 104th. I just blew out a tire. The tire has a lot of, flaps. It's beating the fender. I can make it down to a clear spot. Those are the things we want to hear. That's the thing you're in control of. Like Dave said,
Yes.
Stop.
Yep.
Give us some information. And please don't call, hey, I just blew out a tire, but I haven't stopped yet, and the tire's still beating the fender. Stop. All you have to do is stop.
Absolutely. Good stuff right there.
Yep. Tips and tricks from Ray Davis. What to look and listen for on a post trip. Again, one of the most important parts of our job is a post trip. We have great mechanics at night that get the job done to keep our trucks on the road every day. When you do a post trip, you are looking for leaks, leans, and shiny or even missing parts. You're looking for leaks under your truck and on the truck. You are looking for leans, a broken U-bolt, a blown airbag. You're looking for shiny parts like a lug nut that's loose or bolts that have come loose. You check them by hand. Make sure you check your stacks and fuel straps by hand. If you're unsure, ask your neighbors, a mechanic, or a trainer or driver support. When you're listening, you should listen for rattling parts that need to be tightened. Air leaks, you are listening for audible air leaks. Check if your gland hands are leaking or need to be tightened. Listen to see if an airbag or tire is leaking. If a tire is leaking, when you're driving and hear an air leak and it stops and comes back as you're moving, you might just have something in your tire. Hope all is well with the JFW family, friends, and listeners. Remember, safety has no blind spots. Look and lean, sit up in your stool. Don't be a fool. Check them mirrors out good. Much love and respect always. The Black Sheep, 0013, Ray Ray.
Good job, Ray Ray.
Yeah, thanks, Ray.
Good one. That's a lot of good stuff right there.
BD, you want to hit us with that high road hauling?
I am honored to fill in for SD this week and do his high road hauling. I'm telling you. Yeah, literally big shoes. He does have big shoes.
He does have big shoes.
So, usually I love Super Dave because he kind of does the pre-intro.
Yeah,
right.
I love this one.
But it's because he
really
wrote
like
it and
this one.
he says this is what this is about.
Right.
I just have high road hauling. I don't know what it's about. So I'm excited. It looks like it has something to do with success, right?
Bam.
So no one creates success alone. We all need a team to be successful. As a driver, you need your dispatcher and mechanics. As a mechanic, you need your drivers, and as a dispatcher, you need both drivers and mechanics. The same is true of every profession there is. We all need each other to learn, move forward, and succeed. On a sports team, not everyone contributes equally to a team, and not everyone spends the same amount of time in the spotlight. But it is undeniable that none of the athletes can win a championship alone. The same can be true of other kinds of teams, at school, at home, in the neighborhood, or at work. Some people are mentors and some teachers, while others are still learning and trying their best to contribute. But all of the teammates have one thing in common. They share a vision and purpose. Everyone on that team is moving in the same direction towards a shared goal. A great team starts with having a shared vision of where your team is going and a greater purpose of why you are going there. Research shows people are most energized when they are using their strengths for a bigger purpose, one that goes beyond themselves as individuals. At JFW, we have set a goal to serve some of the largest and best companies in the area. We have been chosen by these companies because of our team and the way we work together to accomplish this difficult task. Our positive energy and enthusiasm grows in strength when we come together as a team and drive forward together. I love that part, drive forward together. When people lose their focus and fall away from this shared goal, they begin a domino effect that can destroy the individual and also the team. I think we saw that this week. The ties are broken. They stop working together. The performance drops. They lose games and customers. And eventually, even though they think they're working hard, they're going in different directions, and it all blows apart, leaving only pieces on the ground. Our why is really the same for all of us. We want the best life we can possibly build. For ourselves and our families, we want to be happy, healthy, to live long and prosper. For all Star Trekkies out there. Kind of funny, we talked about that earlier.
That is funny.
Yeah. What differs for people is the instrument they use to achieve that goal. For us, that instrument is our team. Our shared goal to make JFW the best place to work, the best trucking company in our industry, and the best provider of service for our customers. Together, we can win this gravel hauling game every day. Together, we can win the Super Bowl of end dumping in Denver. Our competition is tough, and there are many teams playing in this league. But together, we are the JFW family. Looks like the quote this week is a great Vince Lombardi quote. And Vince says, individual commitment to a group effort, that is what makes teamwork. A company work, a society work, a civilization work. Vince Lombardi. That's a great quote. I love that quote.
Man, I mean, I know you read it and Super Dave set us up, but I think that's one of the best ones for a while here.
Right.
Maybe because I haven't heard that one.
Right?
I know he's had some good ones that he's recycled that you need to hear again. Yeah.
I'd love to take credit for that, but that's all SD.
Yeah,
he puts those together, snippets of this and snippets of that, and puts everything together weekly. He does a great job on those. That was a fabulous one, Dave. Good job.
Yeah, good
Final thoughts. Start with you, Jim. You look like you're ready.
Yeah, just right quick, Jim. We talked about mental health. You got Dave's High Road Haul in there, and ran across this. Just for today, I will live one day only and not try to solve the whole problem of life at once. Just for today, I will be unafraid of life and death, unafraid to enjoy the beautiful and to be happy. Lincoln said that people are as happy as they make up their minds to be. So, and just because you mentioned it, Dave, I was thinking of Spock, and I love Star Trek, but Spock, the non-emotion and the logic. Could you really imagine all of us, if we just were really logical and we didn't let emotions get in our way?
I don't think we'd fight those common-based decisions.
Right?
Carbon. I meant carbon-based.
Carbon-based.
I said common, but carbon is what I tried to say.
But realistically, if we took our emotions out of a lot of things and just did the logical thing,
Right.
man, we solve some problems.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, I got to say, I don't know if I've said it in a long time, with everybody here, and if you're listening, I love you all. And if you ever need anything, hopefully we can help, but I preface that with, I hope you're trying to help yourself.
Absolutely.
I just want to say, do your best. You have to try to do that, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting
If you're
at,
not
Dave,
trying, you're not trying to do your best, and I loved that quote there from in the Blue Angels, Jim. And who did you say that was? Was that another Vince Lombardi?
That was a Vince Lombardi.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. We're aiming for perfection, or I'm sorry. Yes, we're aiming for perfection, which we're probably not going to achieve, but we will achieve excellence along the way.
Yeah, forces you to find excellence. Yes. Basically, is what I gather from the quote.
Yeah, or we may catch excellence along the way.
Yeah,
but you have to try.
Yeah, and
if you're not trying, if you're closing the door to that cab and walking away and never walking around that truck and looking at it, you're not trying very hard. You're depending on someone else.
Yeah, and it sounds cold, but through our experiences, and if you get to a certain age, we all recognize the person that's trying.
Right.
You don't have to tell us you're trying.
Right.
We recognize you trying.
Yeah.
That's what's discouraging for us. If we're going to help and you're not trying, it's tough for us to give that. And we still help. In a lot of cases, we help, and we know you're not trying to help yourself.
You got to want it more for yourself than we want it for you.
Yes.
Yeah, Jam, and we recognize that, and I truly do. That comes with age. I don't know if you can recognize that at 20, but at our age, we got some life under us, and we recognize whether you're trying to help yourself. Right. So please help yourself.
You know, there's a few steps you have to go through, and it's kind of funny. I've thought of this analogy, you know, and I don't know how many people change their own oil on their own car. I feel like because I do, I just assume everyone does, right? And not a lot of people do. Grease Monkey is.
I do it, but I ask myself, why am I changing?
Well, I do that too when I drop the plug in the oil and it splashes everywhere, right?
Right,
yeah,
right.
No doubt.
And I guess my analogy is, you wouldn't just put 4 quarts of oil or 6 quarts of oil in that car and not pull the dipstick and check it, would you?
No,
right?
absolutely not.
So I guess to me, why are you parking that truck and not checking the dipstick? And what I mean by that is that walk around. Pop that hood, check that oil, do your job, right? You're just, otherwise well, they told me it took 4 quarts. I put 4 quarts in, and isn't it fine? Well, no, dude, they screwed up. It takes 8, right? You just blew your engine up. You're digging a hole. How are you going to get out of the hole? Well, stop digging.
Honestly, I eliminated somebody from the interview process yesterday.
Yeah.
For a few reasons, but the pre-trip was like the stamp where I'm like, but like this guy's like, oh, you want me to like do a walk around and pre-trip this truck? Yeah. Okay, like a real one? Whatever's going to make you feel comfortable that this truck is roadworthy to go on a road test. Well, should I open up the hood? I'm like, I would probably do that.
So how loud was that buzzer, Jeff?
then he gets the hood open. He's like, should I check the oil? I'm just like,
oh, man.
Yeah, that's somebody we would fight with every step of the way. So, was that it on your final thought, Dave? Did I interrupt you?
Nope. I'm good. I mean, I feel like I've touched upon my final thought halfway through the whole podcast. Every other
your middle thoughts.
Yeah.
Cool. My final thought would just be, in honor of Men's Mental Health Month, check on your buddy. Make sure he's doing okay. You know what I mean?
Great.
That is great.
Smack him on the butt. Say, you all right?
Yeah,
good?
I have some friends that I should reach out to.
Check in with.
Yeah.
And then
friends can't be a one-way street. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a friendship for a reason.
Yeah.
You can't just always be the one calling that person. That person needs to call you too.
Well,
but
you know what I mean?
But you could also call them a lot in certain seasons, and they may call you a lot in other seasons.
Yeah.
But I think I'm the guy that not calling my friends, Dave.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm when I have my friends call me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm the terrible friend. Thank you for calling me.
Yo, shout out to my buddy Timmy D. Like me and Timmy, he was my childhood best friend, and we didn't talk for quite a while as adults. We've kept in touch as adults, but we've recently reconnected in the last couple months on a whole nother level.
Very cool.
And it's just been really nice, and that's somebody I talk to every day now.
Nice.
and he gets it. So shout out to Timmy D. T-Bone.
Good stuff.
Quote I'd like to throw out there is, to one who has faith, no explanation is necessary. To one without faith, no explanation is possible. And that's from St. Thomas Aquinas.
Nice.
Man, Jam, that one's deep.
Yeah.
Run that one back and forth a couple of times.
Yeah.
Whew. Yep. Good stuff. All right, we're going to say the creed?
Yeah, let's say the creed and get on out.
Let's do it.
Wait, the other part of my final thoughts. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Channel 23 podcast. Hit that follow button. Also, don't forget to go back and listen to episode 72 to help find Aaron's mom. Links to her story will be in the show notes of today's podcast. Also, we're going to throw Troy Hill's Core Essentials podcast link in the show notes. Now let's say the creed and get on out.
Awesome. Good job. Thanks, Jim.
Yep. Together we face and overcome all that stands before us. Together we are accident free. Together we joyfully create honest value for those we serve. Together we celebrate our differences and respect those with whom we work. Together we are accountable for our words and our actions. Together we are the JFW family. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening, and have a great, safe rest of your week.
I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-looking for another load. Well, it's a family tradition, any Rocky Mountain day. Our fathers before us showed us the way. We work for asphalt cowboys and concrete kings, but that's never been a problem, 'cause we got diesel in our veins. We've got diesel in our veins. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just looking for another load. I hear there's a couple million tons to move. I see them everywhere. So you best get out their way and watch that sand and gravel disappear. There's another run to make. We gotta get it there on time. And we got what it takes to lay it all out on the line. We'll lay it all out on the line. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just looking for another load. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks got the best drivers in town. They got all the tools they need to keep that hammer down. When they hit them scales, they won't need to dodge them, won't need to duck them. They just keep that hammer down, and they keep that diesel trucking. Keep that hammer down, and keep that diesel trucking. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-looking for another load. They just keep them doors a-closed, keep them butts in their seats, 'cause those customers are calling, and those red trucks can't be beat. They've gotta put the hammer down and pick up another load. Get it off the ground, keep them eyes open and on the road. Keep them eyes open on the road. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just looking for another load. Breaker 23, anybody got a copy on that Channel 23 podcast? Welcome, and thanks for listening.